Chapter 265. Immerse grabbed a roasted leg, and started to chew it with big bites. He didn't know what animal this meat was, but it was really fragrant. Ever since Immerse decided to go to the Flaming Origin continent, he had been using all his sign-in opportunities on the bloodline modification liquid and dragon blood. Therefore, it had been nearly half a year since he had eaten real roasted meat. Now that he was eating this fragrant roasted meat again, he felt that it was more fragrant than ever before. It was a pity that there was no beer. At this point, Emma had already taken a jar of wine and handed it to Immerse. Immerse looked at Emma in surprise. Emma also smiled at him. This Emma was getting better and better at reading his mind. Could it be that she had evolved from the worm in his stomach? With this thought, Immerse immediately had an image in his mind. How a roundworm wriggled in his body. Then it slowly evolved and finally became this sexy and seductive Emma. Sigh, it's a little disgusting. Immerse suddenly felt that the roasted meat in his mouth didn't seem to be very fragrant. If Emma knew that in her master's imagination, she had become a roundworm wriggling in his stomach, who knew how she would feel? Of course, this was only a strange thought in Immerse's mind. When he shook his head and shook these strange thoughts out of his mind, he felt very comfortable. After all, with a beauty beside him handing him wine, any man would feel very comfortable. The men around them saw how sexy Emma was, and a few of them were bold enough to come over and strike up a conversation. But when they saw Emma take the initiative to give Immerse wine, they all gave up on this idea. In their opinion, this was a family of three. Emma took care of Immerse, then turned to take care of her son. Her son didn't seem to be very intelligent in other aspects. But when it came to eating, he seemed to be very talented. He seemed to be able to eat better than anyone else. So much so that now, her 11-year-old son's weight had already reached more than 90 kilograms. He was almost the same as Emma. The people in this city had their own way of dealing with the night ghosts. The night ghosts were most afraid of light and didn't dare to come out during the day. At night, the entire city was lit up. Therefore, the night ghosts did not dare to attack the city at night. For the people in the city, the biggest natural enemy was actually those who called themselves scavenger hunters. The strongest among the locals was only a level 10 great hunter. Any one of these hunters could easily crush a level 10 great hunter. However, the people from other planets usually came to the city to rest during the day. At night, they would go out to hunt the night ghosts. Therefore, the natives were the most relaxed at night. Gradually, it was around 10 o'clock at night. Immerse was enjoying his meal. As for Emma, she did not eat. To the vampires, human food wasn't very tasty. Especially cooked food. However, at this moment, in the sky, several blue and white rays of light suddenly flew over from the distant horizon. The city guards immediately sounded the alarm. Outsider, 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 important things had to be said thrice. Every time an outsider appeared, it was basically a disaster for the city. Think about it, if a hunter broke into the nest of his prey, what good things could happen? Seeing this, the natives' eyes were filled with deep fear. They hurriedly got up and scattered in all directions. To them, these outsiders were demons. Only Immerse was still sitting there, holding the leg of an unknown animal and gnawing on it with relish. At this moment, one of the fastest natives suddenly fell to the ground and stopped moving. Then, bang, 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 more than 10 of the fastest running aborigines fell to the ground one after another, not making a sound. In the sky, the blue and white rays of light gradually approached. A dignified voice ordered, "Whoever dares to escape will die." The rest of the aborigines were all scared out of their wits. Psychokinesis didn't exist on the night ghost planet. Therefore, the scene just now was incomprehensible to them. It could only be explained by ghosts. At this moment, the balls of light were even closer. Only then did everyone see that they were 5 outsiders. 4 men and 1 woman. The leader of the group was a handsome young man with a harmless smile on his face. He said to the natives, "We've been killing ourselves outside. We're just tired from killing monsters outside, so we're here to rest tonight. If you serve us well, we'll kill fewer people. Otherwise, we'll slaughter your city. He still had that harmless smile on his face. His tone was as relaxed and normal as if he was chatting about daily life. However, to the natives, it sounded like the voice of a demon. At this moment, rip, an invisible force tore off one of the natives' arms. Blood splattered everywhere. The natives screamed in pain. The natives didn't even have time to react. Rip, another native's leg was torn off. The native's face was also pale. His face was contorted as he screamed in pain. The rest of the natives were all scared out of their wits. In the sky, the eyes of the other 4 people were focused on a young man in his 20s. The young man's face was fair and clean, and his clothes were neat and tidy. He looked like a refined scholar from ancient times. However, he was the one who tore off the arms and legs of the 2 natives with his telekinesis. The fair-skinned young man smiled when he saw the other 4 looking at him. Sorry, I couldn't help it. The other 4 people were speechless. The leader said, If we want to kill them, we'll kill them when we leave tomorrow. If we kill them all now, who will serve us? The fair-skinned young man nodded. Yes, you're right. It's just that I haven't killed anyone in a long time. My hands are itching. Before he finished speaking, his telekinesis spread out again. Rip, another dozen or so people's arms and legs were torn apart and thrown far away. The scene was suddenly filled with wails and howls. This made the others shake their heads. However, that was all. Everyone had a dark side in their hearts. When they came to the hunting ground, the dark side in their hearts was infinitely magnified. After all, in their eyes, these natives were just prey that they could kill whenever they wanted. This fair-skinned young man was a level 1 telekinesis master. He had been cultivating for more than 10 years, but he was still at level 1. Usually, he wasn't treated well in his family. He was also often bullied outside. Now that he was in the first hunting ground, the demon in his heart seemed to have awakened. Previously, when he was killing the night ghosts, he killed the most. However, he still felt very unhappy. Killing night ghosts was not as satisfying as killing people. Now that he was in this city, he naturally wanted to kill without restraint. At this moment, his telekinesis detected that among these people, there was one person who was different from the rest. Chapter 266. That fair-skinned young man scanned the scene with his telekinesis. He caught sight of a person. Everyone else was in a state of panic. But there was only one person. He was still sitting on the stone bench, holding a piece of barbecued meat and eating it in big bites. His mouth was full of oil. It was as if everything that was happening in front of him had nothing to do with him. That fair-skinned young man suddenly frowned. Usually, his brothers and sisters in the family had been showing off in front of him. After leaving the family, he always met other people showing off in front of him. Now that he had finally come to the first hunting ground, even an indigenous person dared to show off in front of him. Damn it! He cursed in his heart. His face was slightly ferocious. Split open. With a roar in his heart, he attacked Immerse with his telekinesis. He wanted to tear this indigenous person apart in the cruelest way. Instead of tearing him into 2 halves, he was tearing off strips of flesh from his body. Let him watch helplessly as the flesh on his body was torn clean. However, when his telekinesis enveloped Immerse and tore at Immerse's body, suddenly, his brows furrowed tightly. Because he found that his telekinesis could not tear this guy's body apart. How was this possible? As a level 1 psychic master, he could easily tear apart any level 1 hunter, except for level 2 hunters. He could easily tear apart any level 1 hunter. Could it be that this aborigine had reached level 2 or above? What a joke. Thinking of this, he condensed all his telekinesis on Immerse's body. With a move of his telekinesis, he tore at Immerse again. However, Immerse still did not move. He lowered his head and continued to eat the piece of meat. It seemed that the more he ate, the more delicious it was. That fair-skinned young man tried again for a while, and a look of horror began to appear on his face. The rest of the people also noticed that something was wrong from this fair-skinned young man's face. They followed his gaze and saw Immerse, who was eating meat as if nothing had happened. They also felt a chill in their hearts. There's something strange about this indigenous person. Be careful. A scavenger scolded, who cares what kind of weird thing it is? Can it withstand my energy weapon? As he spoke, he condensed an energy weapon on his right arm. When the natives saw that guy condense an energy weapon, their expressions changed greatly. They had seen the outsiders condense such weapons before. The destructive power of this weapon was extremely strong. Basically, a single sweep could kill a large number of them. No, God, please, let us go. We know our wrongs, we really know our wrongs. We only beg you to let us go. The natives begged one after another. At this moment, Immerse finally finished eating. He took a towel that was specially used to wipe his hands and wiped his hands clean. Then, he looked up at the 5 people in the air. The next moment, he suddenly leaped. His figure instantly disappeared. When he reappeared, he was already in the air. His right hand clenched into a fist and smashed towards the head of the energy martial artist. Poof! The young man's head instantly exploded. His body was sent flying by the huge impact. Like a stone, he was thrown more than 300 meters away. When the other 4 outsiders saw this, their expressions changed drastically. Was this person a devil? With only his physical strength, he had killed a level 1 hunter with 1 punch. Not good, fight! The leader hurriedly shouted. At the same time, he said to the fair-skinned youth, use telekinesis to restrict him. He knew that it was impossible for the fair-skinned youth to use telekinesis to kill Immerse. If it was possible, with the fair-skinned youth's character, he would have done it long ago. Since he couldn't kill him, he could at least restrict his speed. However, he was obviously wrong. The fear in the fair-skinned youth's heart was far greater than the others. Because no matter how he used telekinesis to control this guy, it didn't have the slightest effect. This guy seemed to not be afraid of telekinesis at all. The next moment, Immerse had already arrived behind another level 1 scavenger. His knee hit the man's lower back hard. Crack! The man's lumbar spine was directly broken. His entire upper body folded together with his legs. It looked extremely terrifying. Among the remaining 3, the psychic master turned around and was about to escape. However, Immerse's fist had already landed on his body. Puff! The psychic master's physical strength was too weak. Immerse's fist directly passed through the guy's back and came out of his chest. Then, he turned around. 2 kicks flew out. Crack! Crack! The remaining 2 people were also easily killed by him. At this point, these 5 outsiders. In just 5 seconds, they were killed by Immerse. What was even more terrifying was that he didn't even use a trace of energy. He killed these 5 people completely with his physical strength. If this matter was known by other people on the continent, it would probably cause an uproar. At this time, Immerse had already received a notification in his mind. After killing these 5 people, he obtained another 5 drops of Titan dragon blood. The reason why he didn't use telekinesis to kill these 5 people was because of this. Although 5 drops of giant dragon blood were insignificant to him now, Linley still had a lot of giant dragon blood left. But little drops make a mickle. No matter how much there was, it was accumulated drop by drop. After killing these 5 people, Immerse's heart didn't have any ripples, as if he had crushed 5 ants. He secretly said in his heart, it won't be like the plot of those melodramatic novels where after killing a few guys, it immediately attracted their elders, then the ancestors, and then some other forces. Fortunately, he knew from the memories of these 5 people that 4 of them didn't have any powerful family elders. The only one with a powerful elder was that psychic master. However, he had already run away from home for 5 or 6 years. Even if he died, his family elders might not know. Even if they knew, they wouldn't come all the way to avenge him. Thinking of this, Immerse was relieved. He said to Emma, "You've eaten, go back to sleep." Emma nodded. "Yes, master." At this time, those natives' jaws were about to drop. They didn't come back to their senses for a long time. As far as they knew, the Aborigines were basically unable to withstand a single blow from those outsiders. But this native was too ferocious. He didn't even use a genetic weapon, he just used his physical strength to kill those 5 people with one punch. This was definitely a natural-born god strength. Thinking of this, one of them couldn't help but kneel on the ground and worship Immerse. With him bowing, the others followed suit and bowed to the ground one after another like dominoes. "Thank you, hero, for saving our city. If it wasn't for you, we probably wouldn't be able to see the light of day tomorrow." "Thank you, hero." "Thank you, hero." Immerse waved his hand casually. "I just didn't want to be disturbed by them." As he spoke, he took out 20 bottles of recovery medicine. "Give these recovery medicine to those who are injured." Of course, they knew that Immerse had even more recovery potions on him. However, they did not dare to target Immerse, so they could only fight among themselves. It was almost noon the next day when Immerse and the others finally came out of the dragon cave. When Immerse found out that these people had actually started fighting amongst themselves over the recovery potion, he did not say anything, nor did he do anything. He was not surprised by this result. This was human nature. There was a bright side to human nature, but there was also an ugly side. It was impossible for him to change all of this by himself. Therefore, his code of conduct had always been to stay out of harm's way. As for what other people do, it has nothing to do with me. However, when these people saw Immerse appear, they temporarily stopped fighting. They began to serve Immerse with good food and drinks, hoping to get a few more bottles of recovery potion from Immerse. However, Immerse did not take out another bottle of recovery potion. In the evening, when the sun set behind the mountains, Immerse took Emma and her son and left the city. As soon as Immerse left, the city once again fell into a state of fighting. Immerse did not know what kind of chaos this city would fall into after he left. He was not interested in knowing. He used his draconic will to investigate the area within 100 kilometers as he flew forward with Emma and her son. After flying for about 2 hours, Immerse arrived at the mountain pass where the 2 mountains faced each other. According to the map, this place was called the Black Mountain Pass. After the Black Mountain Pass was the Death Swamp. In the Death Swamp, there were countless level 2 evolved night ghosts. At this moment, his draconic will swept across the Black Mountain Pass. At the entrance of Black Mountain, a group of hunters was chasing after 2 night ghosts. The 2 night ghosts were both level 2 evolved night ghosts. This team of hunters had 7 people, 5 men and 2 women. One of the women was the beautiful girl in front of Emma at the place where Immerse and the others had bought the tickets. At this moment, they were chasing after the 2 night ghosts. They had already passed through Black Mountain Pass and entered the Death Swamp. Immerse was slightly surprised. It was obvious that the 2 night ghosts had deliberately lured this group of people into the Death Swamp. According to his understanding, the intelligence of the night ghosts was at most equivalent to that of a 2 or 3-year-old child. How could they know the tactic of luring the enemy deep? When the 7 people chased the 2 night ghosts into the Death Swamp, the surrounding night ghosts did not immediately appear. They flew for another 2 minutes and covered a distance of more than 100 kilometers. Only then did they realize that something was wrong. They were surrounded by swamps. From time to time, the skeletons of animals could be seen in the swamp. Occasionally, they could even see human skulls. Someone suddenly realized something and was shocked. "Oh no, we've been tricked." The others were stunned and asked, "What's wrong?" That person looked around, then lowered his voice and said 4 words that made one's hair stand on end. "Death Swamp." Boom! It was as if a bolt of lightning had struck everyone's heart. This is the Death Swamp? That's impossible. Weren't we very far from the Death Swamp before? The beautiful girl was so shocked that her face turned pale. Death Swamp? Oh no, the guide said that this place is full of level 2 hunters. It's a place even scarier than the Hell Wasteland. Seeing this, a rather masculine young man came to the beautiful girl's side. He said, "Don't worry, I'm here." The other girl said, according to the guide, the Death Swamp is rated as level 10 on the Night Ghosts planet. Even level 10 hunters would have to take a detour if they came here. Then what are we waiting for? Let's go. After reaching a consensus, everyone quickly turned their hoverboards around and flew toward the Black Mountain Pass. The hoverboards had a certain flying height limit. They could only fly up to a height of 100 meters. Therefore, they could not fly high enough to avoid the night ghosts below. They could only turn around and fly toward the Black Mountain Pass. Chapter 268. The 5 men and 2 women wanted to escape the Death Swamp. But soon, they were horrified to find that they were too naive. Hundreds of night ghosts had crawled out of the Death Swamp in front of them. Some of them even had a pair of demon-like wings and could fly in the air. It turned out that these night ghosts had lived in this swamp for tens of thousands of years. They had evolved wings to make it easier for them to travel in the swamp. Everyone panicked when they saw this. What should we do? There are so many night ghosts and flying night ghosts. Oh no, oh no, oh no, oh no, oh no. In the midst of everyone's panicked cries, only the leader was clear-headed. Quick, there aren't too many night ghosts in front. Activate your energy weapons and rush out. Otherwise, we won't have a chance. Everyone calmed down slightly after hearing his words. They quickly gathered their energy weapons. However, when they gathered their energy weapons, there were already more than 200 night ghosts in front of them. The dozen or so night ghosts in the lead were only 20 meters away from them. The leader shouted, "Wait for my order. 2 rounds of fire will kill them." However, before he could finish his sentence, those panicking team members had already shot out energy rays one after another. Whoosh whoosh whoosh, after a series of energy beams, more than 20 night ghosts fell into the swamp. The corpses of the night ghosts fell into the swamp and were completely submerged. However, there were still more than 100 night ghosts left. And these people were only level 1 and level 2 hunters. They could only fire their energy beams once or twice. The series of shots just now had already used up most of the energy in their bodies. At this moment, other than the leader and a muscular middle-aged man, the rest of the people felt their legs go weak. They felt like they were about to collapse on the hoverboard. It's over, it's really over this time. A pessimistic girl kept muttering. The rest of the people's hearts sank. This time, it was really over. Their faces were either filled with despair or unwillingness. Especially the pretty girl. She was already a level 2 hunter and was about to advance to level 3. Her father had said that as long as she advanced to level 3, he would let her manage one of the city squares in the family. But now that she was about to advance to level 3, she was going to die here. How could she accept this? However, now that things had come to this, even though she was unwilling, what could she do? However, at this moment, a night ghost scream came from more than 500 meters away. Gah, then, another sound was heard. Gah, then, screams could be heard one after another. It sounded like the screams of the night ghosts as they were killed by some powerful creature. When the night ghosts that surrounded these people heard the screams, their eyes flashed with anger. They abandoned these people one after another and turned to fly in the direction of the mountain pass. The rest of the people were still in shock. The leading hunter quickly whispered, "Take advantage of this opportunity and rush out immediately." The others only regained their senses after being reminded by him. He quickly controlled the hoverboard and flew quickly in the direction of the Black Mountain Pass. At first, they avoided the night ghosts from afar. But gradually, they realized that the night ghosts were no longer paying any attention to them. They became bolder and flew towards the black mountain pass at full speed. Gradually, they got closer to the mountain pass. However, they all reduced their speed, because they saw that in the swamp not far from the Black Mountain Pass, hundreds of night ghosts were tightly surrounding 3 people. One of the 3 people was a child of 11 or 12 years old. Another was a woman in her 30s with an explosive figure. The third was a young man who looked to be in his 20s. The young man was dressed in black and looked somewhat mysterious. Facing hundreds of night ghosts around him, there was no fear on his face. Instead, he looked very calm. When the beautiful girl saw Immerse and the other 2, she immediately remembered. She said, "I've seen them before." The others said, "What time is it? Escape is more important. Don't worry about them." "That's right, saving our own lives is more important." The leading young man said, "It seems that all the night ghosts are attacking them. Let's take the opportunity to escape immediately." Thus, they sped up and flew towards the mountain pass. However, they soon realized that something was wrong. There were hundreds of night ghosts surrounding the 3 people in front of them. However, there seemed to be a powerful invisible force that formed a spherical barrier with a diameter of 100 meters around the 3 people. Most of the night ghosts were blocked outside by the spherical barrier. Only 10 night ghosts were left inside. Everyone understood that there should be a psychic master among the 3 of them. However, wasn't it too risky for them to leave 10 night ghosts inside? 3 people against 10 night ghosts? That would be a suicide mission. However, in the next moment, the scene that occurred caused all of them to be dumbfounded. When the night ghosts pounced, the young man in black suddenly jumped up. He instantly reached a height of 1,000 meters. Then, he smashed down. Boom! He punched a night ghost in the head. The night ghost's head instantly exploded. Originally, even if the night ghost's head exploded, as long as the energy bubble in its abdomen didn't leak, it could still revive with its powerful self-healing ability. However, after his punch, the night ghost didn't revive after its head exploded. Everyone's hearts trembled. How was this possible? Then, Immerse punched and kicked again. In less than a minute, he killed 10 night ghosts. This scene caused the hearts and minds of everyone present to tremble. This is too fierce. He's fighting the night ghosts with his bare hands, and they're all killed instantly. How terrifying is his strength? He can kill these night ghosts without using any energy. I'm afraid even level 10 hunters can't do that. This guy is simply inhuman. The strangest thing is that when he smashed their heads with his fist, they didn't come back to life. At this moment, a tall young man beside the beautiful girl snorted. What's so strange about that? The girl beside them must be a psychic master. She suppressed the self-healing energy in the night ghosts. At this moment, the young man in the lead suggested an idea. They're so strong. Why don't we team up with them? As soon as he said this, the others nodded in agreement. I agree. If we team up with them, we can kill a lot of night ghosts too. Yeah, there's a powerful psychic barrier that separates the extra night ghosts. Only 10 night ghosts are allowed in at a time. If we team up with them, not only can we increase our combat experience, but we can also minimize the danger. Chapter 269. When the young man in the lead suggested this idea, the others immediately agreed. Therefore, the young man in the lead shouted at Immerse, who was fighting. Brother, do you need help? Why don't we form a team? Although Immerse had been fighting all this while, through the probing of his draconic sense, he had heard the conversation between these people clearly. How could they be so king shameless? You were attacked. My battle here attracted a large number of night ghosts, so you had to escape. When you saw me surrounded by night ghosts, you didn't have any intention of saving me. Instead, you wanted to escape as soon as possible. Now that you see me killing these night ghosts effortlessly, you want to join me and take advantage of me. This was the epitome of shamelessness. Thinking of this, Immerse ignored them. However, those people didn't give up. Someone said, "Brother, the more friends you have, the more options you have. Let's treat it as making friends. Yeah, we're all young people. Wouldn't it be faster to form a team to kill monsters?" The beautiful girl's eyes lit up when she saw how easily Immerse killed the monsters. Although she was still very jealous of Emma's beauty, she could subconsciously ignore Emma. She said to Immerse, "Big brother, let's form a team together." Immerse still couldn't be bothered with them. He continued to kill the night ghosts. 1 punch for 1, 2 drops of Titan dragon blood for each one. Seeing that Immerse ignored them, those people's expressions turned ugly. Someone said, "Ignore him. Let's get out first. Such a narrow-minded person will die sooner or later." Of course, they only said it in a low voice. The pretty girl pouted her lips and didn't lower her voice as she said, "That's right. It's just killing a few night ghosts. What's the big deal? Tisk." With that, this group of people flew toward the Black Mountain Pass. However, after flying for 1,000 meters, they suddenly crashed into an even larger invisible barrier. Caught off guard, these 7 people were all knocked to the ground. Some of them even had sparks coming out of their hoverboards. They couldn't fly anymore. Everyone was shocked and angry. The psychic master suddenly turned his head and looked at Emma not far away. He shouted to the crowd, "It's her, the great psychic master." At this moment, Emma, who had not moved all this while, flapped her wings and slowly rose into the air. He stared coldly at these people. "Did Master say that he would let you go?" Naturally, she had heard what these people were saying just now. She could tolerate these people slandering her, but she could not tolerate the slightest disrespect to her master. That was why he had created a telekinesis barrier to block their way. Immerse glanced at Emma, feeling more and more satisfied with her. Emma was like a roundworm in his stomach. As soon as he thought of something, Emma already knew what he was going to do. In fact, if Emma hadn't made a move just now, he would have. How could he let this group of shameless fellows go? Since Emma had made her move, he ignored her and continued to slaughter the night ghosts. Just now, his dragons had detected that these people had basically already used their energy weapons. There was almost no energy left in their bodies. The only 2 threats were the young man in the lead. He still had 1 energy ray that he hadn't used yet. The other was a level 2 telekinesis master. As a level 1 telekinesis master, Emma was difficult to deal with. But don't forget, Emma was also a level 1 evolved vampire. Moreover, after a few days of continuous fighting, her strength had increased very quickly. She had already reached the peak of level 1 evolution. She was about to evolve into a level 2 evolved vampire. At this moment, Emma turned her head and looked at Immerse. Immerse knew what he meant and only said 3 words. "Don't worry." Emma nodded and gently stroked her son's head as she said softly, "Don't worry. Mommy is going to fight the bad guys. I'll be back soon." Then, she flapped her wings and flew out of Immerse's dragon's wool barrier. The surrounding night ghosts saw this woman come out and immediately pounced on her. But with Emma's telekinesis, these night ghosts were all pushed away. Emma was extremely fast as she flew towards the 7 people. Behind her, the night ghosts chased after Emma like crazy. From afar, she looked like a comet, dragging a long white tail behind it. Seeing this, the 7 people's expressions changed. "This woman is crazy. Damn it, B*TCH. Run. This woman is a vampire, and she's a telekinesis master. Be careful." As the level 2 telekinesis master spoke, he hurriedly used his telekinesis to stop Emma. However, just as his telekinesis reached out of his body, he felt a huge wave of telekinesis pressing down on him. His telekinesis had no room to resist and was directly pressed back into his body. How is this possible? His face was pale as an extremely terrifying feeling rose in his heart. He could clearly feel that this woman was a level 1 telekinesis master. That was why he dared to face this woman with confidence. But this huge wave of telekinesis was not the telekinesis of a level 1 telekinesis master at all. Of course, he didn't know that it was Immerse who helped Emma just now. He used the dragon's will to suppress his telekinesis. Emma naturally knew this as well. At an extremely fast speed, the level 2 telekinesis master flew out. Seeing that he couldn't stop Emma, the level 2 telekinesis master hurriedly stepped on the hoverboard and tried to escape. However, under the obstruction of Emma's telekinesis, he couldn't fly at all. In the next moment, Emma had already flown in front of him. Then, she suddenly turned and attacked the others. Emma didn't need to do anything at all. The night ghosts behind Emma immediately swarmed forward. Almost instantly, they tore the level 2 telekinesis master into pieces. When the leader saw Emma being so violent, he hurriedly condensed an energy weapon. A red and white energy ray cut straight towards Emma's body. Emma's figure flashed. Although she avoided a fatal blow, one of her arms was directly cut off. However, Emma seemed to be fine at all. She continued to rush towards the leader. At this moment, the leader had no energy in his body, and his hoverboard shoes were restricted by Emma's telekinesis. He couldn't escape even if he wanted to. Finally, Emma flew above him. Her wings suddenly pierced out. The pair of sharp hooks on her wings directly pierced the young man's eyes. And it directly pierced through his eyes and out the back of his head. Ever since he followed Immerse, his fighting style of being scolded had gradually changed. When dealing with the enemy, it was as cruel as it could be. It was to let them know the consequences of being enemies with him. When the rest of the people saw how cruel this woman was, all of their faces turned pale. Who would have thought that such a woman who exuded a feminine aura from head to toe would be so valiant in battle? Chapter 270. After Emma killed the level 2 psychic master, the rest was much easier. These people had used energy beams just now and had used up all the energy in their bodies. Even if they attacked together, they were no match for Emma. In addition, Emma used her psychic power to restrict them, so they couldn't use their hoverboards to escape. Therefore, they were like lambs waiting to be slaughtered in front of Emma. Emma easily killed 6 of them. Only the last one was left, the prettiest girl. She was now looking at Emma in horror. Never in her wildest dreams would she have imagined that this sexy and beautiful woman would be so powerful. She was stronger and prettier than her. Were the heavens blind? How could such a woman exist in this world? But before she died, her gaze fell on Immerse. She suddenly realized something. A mysterious powerhouse. A few days ago, before she teamed up with these 6 people, she teamed up with the other 3. From the 3 of them, she heard that a mysterious powerhouse had appeared in the second hunting ground. That mysterious powerhouse had killed more than 10,000 night ghosts with just his fists. At that time, she didn't believe it and thought it was pure nonsense. How could someone kill so many night ghosts in one night with just his fists? And now, didn't this black-clothed youth kill these night ghosts with just 1 punch each? With this speed, it wasn't difficult to kill more than 10,000 night ghosts in one night. Knowing this point, the regret in her heart was like a torrential river that flowed endlessly. She was so stupid. She should have known that he was the mysterious powerhouse. If that was the case, she wouldn't have mocked him. She wouldn't have died in the end. But now, it was too late for her to regret. Emma's sharp claws had already pierced her chest. Poof! She clearly heard the muffled sound of the claws piercing her chest. She clearly saw blood flowing down the woman's claws. Her consciousness finally dissipated completely. Emma glanced at the bright red blood gushing out of her chest. She licked her lips. She pulled out her claws and flew back into Immerse's dragon mind barrier. Although human blood was very tempting to her. But not sucking human blood was her bottom line. Even if this person was an enemy. Immerse continued to kill the night ghosts. In one night, they didn't manage to kill 10,000, only 3,000. But even so, it was still shocking enough. After all, these were not the level 1 evolved night ghosts of the Hell Wasteland. Instead, it was level 2. They were at least 10 times stronger than the level 1 night ghosts. In just one night, they had killed over 3,000 level 2 evolved night ghosts. Furthermore, all of them relied solely on their physical strength. If others knew about this, their eyeballs would probably fall out of their sockets. More than 3,000 level 2 evolved night ghosts were equivalent to more than 6,000 drops of dragon blood. On the second and third nights, Immerse also obtained more than 6,000 drops of dragon blood. When Immerse swallowed the 5,703rd drop of giant dragon blood, the familiar burning sensation in his body came again. His body temperature rose rapidly. Even Emma, who was beside him, could clearly feel Immerse's body temperature rising. Emma looked at Immerse in shock. Was Master going to advance again? While surprised, she quickly used her telekinesis to scan the surroundings and keep an eye out for Immerse. 5 minutes later, Immerse's body temperature finally returned to normal. At this moment, he looked at his stats interface. Name, Immerse, level 4 scavenger, level 4 long Nian, evolution path, Titan Dragon. Immerse was overjoyed. He had finally advanced. In just 3 months on the Flaming Land, he had advanced 3 levels. On average, he had advanced 1 level per month. Who else could it be? And as long as he continued to hunt in this death swamp, he estimated that in half a month, at most 20 days, he would advance again. This speed of leveling was like riding a rocket. The second night after his advancement, Immerse brought Emma and her son deep into the swamp. At this moment, it was even easier for him to kill these night ghosts than last night. He didn't need to run or jump high at all. Casually and easily, he killed a child with 1 punch. Thus, Immerse killed more than 15,000 night ghosts that night. Each night ghost had 2 drops of Titan Dragon blood. In one night, he had obtained more than 30,000 drops of Titan Dragon blood. This speed was quite terrifying. After a night of killing, Emma finally leveled up. And it was a double level up. Level 2 Psychic Master and Level 2 Vampire. Immerse felt that at this speed, Emma should be able to advance to Level 3 Vampire before leaving the second hunting ground in 20 days. But the heavens didn't listen. That night, Immerse found that the number of night ghosts crawling out of the swamp had decreased. The second night, the number of night ghosts decreased again. The third night, after searching for half the night, he only found 3,000 night ghosts. Immerse shook his head helplessly. He could only blame himself for being too strong. These night ghosts were too scared to come out. Immerse could only continue to go deeper into the swamp. When the sky was about to brighten, he found that the number of night ghosts had increased again. This made his heart skip a beat. Based on his observations over the past few days, although these night ghosts weren't very intelligent, they still communicated with each other. When he displayed his tyrannical strength, the night ghosts in the swamp would probably know that a tyrannical human had appeared, so they wouldn't appear again at night. Now, a large number of night ghosts had suddenly appeared in front of him. There must be something wrong. But with Immerse's current strength, even if there was something wrong, he didn't have to worry at all. Anyway, with so many night ghosts gathered, there would be a large amount of Titan Dragon blood. Gradually, the distance between them grew closer. He found that the place where the night ghosts were gathered was the mouth of a volcano. A volcano suddenly appeared in the death swamp. It was very abrupt. But Immerse had read the detailed guide on Planet Night Ghost before. He knew about this situation. The people who had come before had more or less figured out the situation on Planet Night Ghost. This volcano was the center of the death swamp. But the guide didn't say that there would be a large number of night ghosts gathered here. Immerse didn't care so much. He flapped his blood dragon wings and flew at a low altitude, killing the night ghosts with his fists. He had many trump cards anyway, and his biggest trump card was the sea dragon clone. What was there to be afraid of? The sea dragon clone had devoured too many dire beasts and should have leveled up long ago. But it was limited by Immerse's level, so it hadn't leveled up. Now that Immerse had become a level 4 hunter, the sea dragon clone was naturally promoted to a level 4 hunter. One had to know that in the entire Yuzhou, there were only a handful of level 4 hunters. So in this aspect, Immerse was already considered a top expert in Yuzhou. If such a top expert came to a mere second hunting ground and still had to be timid, wouldn't he be a laughingstock? Chapter 271. The volcano in the center of the Death Swamp was an extinct volcano. It was unknown how many years it had been cooling down. Now, there was no longer any heat in this place. The volcano was already covered with all kinds of plants. The volcano was about 300 meters tall. Under the pale green moonlight, it looked like a circular pyramid, standing in the middle of the desolate Death Swamp. The foot of the volcano was filled with night ghosts. The night ghosts seemed to treat the volcano as a treasure and guarded it. With this thought in mind, Immerse couldn't help but have a thought. Could there really be some kind of treasure in the night volcano? He used his draconic will to investigate the volcano again, but he still didn't find anything useful. Immerse shook his head. Whatever, I'll deal with these night ghosts first. Soon, Immerse landed on the ground. The ground within 50 kilometers of the volcano was no longer a swamp. Instead, it was solid ground. When Immerse landed on the ground, the night ghosts immediately let out strange roars. Gagagagagag. Gagagagagag. They bared their fangs and brandished their claws as they pounced towards Immerse. Immerse raised the dragon will barrier again and let in 20 night ghosts. Then there was a flurry of punches and kicks. In the blink of an eye, 17 night ghosts had been taken care of. Emma was now a level 2 evolved blood breed and a level 2 psychic master. The speed of the blood breeds and the sharpness of their claws combined with the telekinesis of a level 2 psychic master. She could also fight 1 against 3. By the time Immerse finished off the other 17 night ghosts, she had already killed 3 of them. Continuing to kill, Immerse had killed more than 10,000 night ghosts in half a night. On the second night, the number of night ghosts didn't decrease. Instead, it increased. Compared to when he had first arrived at Death Swamp, there were more night ghosts here. In just one night, Immerse had killed over 20,000 night ghosts. He had obtained more than 40,000 drops of Titan dragon blood. The harvest was 10,000 more drops than before. Following that, Immerse continued his killing spree for 6 consecutive nights. Since this was the hinterland of the swamp, no one came to disturb them. Plus, there were more night ghosts here than in other places. Therefore, Immerse was very satisfied with the results of the past 6 nights. If everything was like this, then he wouldn't even need half a month. He could probably level up 5 times in 10 days. Unfortunately, the heavens did not comply with his wishes. On the 7th day, the night ghosts began to flee. However, the direction in which they fled was not underground. Instead, it was at the mouth of the volcano. Hundreds and thousands of night ghosts rushed toward the crater. In the end, he disappeared from Immerse's sight. Immerse flapped his wings and observed the volcano from the sky. The sky gradually brightened. Looking from the sky, the crater of the volcano looked like the mouth of a huge monster that was about to swallow people whole. It was also like a huge eye, staring straight at the sky. Anyone who saw it would feel their hair stand on end. However, Immerse's current dragon will was already extremely powerful. He didn't find such things terrifying. He was just curious. The night ghosts were gathered here as if they were protecting something inside the volcano. Now that they were afraid of being killed, their first reaction was to escape into the volcano. It seemed that there must be something extraordinary in the volcano. He immediately moved his mind. The corpses of the night ghosts he killed last night quickly turned into flesh and blood. Then, under the control of Immerse's dragon will, they squirmed quickly. A moment later, 5 virus clones were formed. Each of these virus clones had the strength of a level 2 scavenger and a level 2 long enrich. Then, he ordered these clones to go to the volcano to investigate. These clones entered the volcano, and Immerse carefully observed the surroundings through their perspectives. At first, this place looked like any extinct volcano. After countless years, the crater here had long been blocked by rocks, mud, and volcanic ash. There was a thick layer of vegetation and towering trees on it. The thickest tree was about 7 meters in diameter. Gradually, as these virus clones went deeper, Immerse's investigation became more detailed. There were thousands of caves of various sizes at the bottom of the volcano. The largest of these caves was about 5 meters in diameter. The smaller ones could only allow one person to pass through. Immerse knew that the night ghosts had entered through these holes. He immediately controlled the virus clones to follow them into these holes. The path in the holes became more and more slanted as they went forward. They slanted all the way into the belly of the volcano. Following these roads, they walked for more than 300 meters in a zigzag manner. Hundreds and thousands of night ghosts appeared along the way. At this moment, Immerse used his dragon will to kill these night ghosts. Although killing a night ghost meant 2 less drops of dragon blood. But Immerse's most important task now was to find out what was inside before these clones were killed that was worth so many night ghosts protecting it with their lives. Finally, after killing hundreds of night ghosts, Immerse's 2 clones successfully arrived at the belly of the volcano. There was a huge cave here. The stone walls around the cave were fiery red. In the center of the cave, there was a magma pool with a diameter of only 20 meters. It seemed that after countless years, the magma had gradually cooled down and only this small magma pool was left. Around this magma pool were tens of thousands of night ghosts. Strangely enough, the night ghosts were afraid of everything except moonlight. But now that they were illuminated by the magma pool, they were not afraid. At the same time, in the center of these night ghosts, there was an irregular stone platform. On the stone platform, there was a special night ghost that was angrily staring at Immerse's 2 clones. This night ghost was bigger than the other night ghosts. It was more than 3 meters tall. On its forehead, there were 2 slightly curved horns that were about a foot long. Its eyes were different from the grayish-white of the other night ghosts. Instead, they were a strange red. It was like the red light of a robot's electronic eyes. Its bony body gave off a strange feeling of strength. Immerse looked at this night ghost and his heart skipped a beat. Was this the Night Ghost King? In the Flaming Continent, many scholars had mentioned the Night Ghost King in their papers. In their opinion, there would definitely be one or more kings among the billions of night ghosts on the Flaming Continent. They were known as the Night Ghost King, or Night Monarch for short. But this was just a guess. Until now, no one had seen the Night Monarch. Many people even thought that there was no Night Monarch on the Night Ghost planet. Today, Immerse was the first human to see the Night Monarch. He opened the blood dragon's eye and looked at the Night Monarch. Species, Night Ghost, level 3 evolution. When Immerse saw this, he understood why no one had ever seen the Night King. The second hunting grounds restriction was equivalent to a level 2 hunter. No creature could surpass the level of a level 2 hunter. And this Night Monarch had reached level 3 evolution, which was equivalent to a level 3 hunter. It must be restricted by the rules of this world. Perhaps it could not leave this volcano. Or even if it left, it could not display level 3 strength. Chapter 272. In fact, Immerse's guess was right. Although there was a restriction in the second hunting ground, no creature's strength could exceed a level 2 hunter. But after tens of thousands of years, there were always accidents. Just like on Earth, the original restriction was that no creature's strength could exceed a level 10 great hunter. But when Immerse's sea dragon clone appeared, it directly became a level 10 wild beast. It was far beyond a level 10 great hunter. Of course, Immerse was a cheat, so the Night King naturally couldn't be compared to Immerse. After tens of thousands of years, the Night King's strength had reached level 3. But because of the restrictions of the world's rules, it also paid the price of freedom. It was cursed by a wizard in this world. Therefore, it could no longer leave this volcano. Of course, according to this world, it was cursed. In fact, according to the knowledge of the flaming continent, there was a scientific explanation. In this world, it was immortal, but it couldn't leave even a single step. Therefore, this volcano was equivalent to a permanent cage for it. This was why none of the cultivators on the flaming origin continent had ever seen the Night Monarch. After being imprisoned here for tens of thousands of years, the Night King's resentment had reached its peak. At this moment, when it saw Immerse's 2 clones appear, its eyes were almost spitting fire. Why can't I leave, but any random cat or dog can enter and leave the volcano as they wish? In its extreme anger, it focused all its anger on Immerse's 2 clones. Because of its extreme anger, its body couldn't help but tremble. Its upper and lower lips turned up, revealing sharp teeth inside. The 2 rows of teeth kept colliding with each other at an extremely fast frequency. It let out a strange but angry roar. Ga. The sound was ear-piercing and hoarse. It was extremely uncomfortable to hear. The next moment, it waved its right hand. In the magma pool in front of it, 2 thick chains condensed from magma flew straight toward Immerse's 2 clones. Of the 2 clones of Immerse, one of them turned around and fled. As for the other doppelganger, it dodged the magma chain to the side. At the same time, he activated his dragon will and attacked the Night Monarch. The Night King let out a strange cackle as a huge wave of mind power surged out from his body. It directly clashed with the level 2 draconic will of the clone. Boom! A shockwave immediately spread out in all directions. The surrounding night ghosts were sent flying by the 2 shockwaves. He crashed into the stone wall behind him. Most of the night ghosts had broken bones and tendons. Some of the night ghosts were bleeding from their heads and looked like they were about to die. However, in this volcano, they seemed to have some sort of enhancement. Moreover, it was a bonus in all aspects. Their self-healing speed was frighteningly fast. One of the night ghosts whose skulls had been smashed completely recovered in just half a minute. Immerse, who was outside the volcano, was secretly surprised when he saw this. The Night King's telekinesis was actually able to contend with his own level 2 dragon will. In other words, its telekinesis was at least at the level of a level 4 psychic master. He had originally wanted to enter the volcano later and take care of all the night ghosts, including the Night King, with 1 punch. But now it seemed that for safety's sake, it was better not to go in. At this moment, the Night King saw that his telekinesis attack had not been able to kill this human. He could not help but fly into a rage. His eyes were about to spit out flames of anger. The originally calm magma pool in the center of the volcano was also churning like boiling water. It even churned up a magma pillar that was more than a meter tall. In the next moment, his telekinesis suddenly spread out. In Immerse's perception, his telekinesis had actually soared by another level. He had reached level 5 psychic master. At the same time, its strength and speed also soared in a short period of time. Although its level was still a level 3 evolved night ghost. The speed and strength it displayed had already reached level 4. Immerse frowned slightly. Was there no upper limit to this guy's realm? This time, his level 4 draconic will spread out directly. It instantly plundered the Night King's memories. Soon, he finished checking the Night King's memories. I see. From the Night King's memories, Immerse saw that as long as it was in the volcano, its strength could be directly raised to the equivalent of a level 10 hunter. Its telekinesis could also be raised to the equivalent of a level 10 psychic master. It could be said that in the volcano, it was the god of this world. Understanding this point, the corners of Immerse's mouth curled up. In that case, I'll destroy your volcano. Thinking of this, the aura on his body directly rose to the peak in an extremely short period of time. At the same time, the Titan dragon claw condensed on his right arm. Due to the increase in level, his Titan dragon claw also changed. On the claw hook of the Titan dragon claw, there was a faint trace of fiery red light circulating. Then, he abruptly leaped up. There was a loud roar. 1,000 meters away from the volcano crater, the Titan dragon claw slashed down diagonally towards the volcano. Whoosh! An invisible force was instantly released and slashed straight towards the 300-meter-tall volcano. It instantly sank into the volcano. It seemed to be still for a few seconds. In the next moment, the left half of the 300-meter-tall volcano actually slid diagonally to the left. After sliding for more than 10 meters, it finally began to collapse with a bang. Rumble, the earth moved. Rumble, the mountain shook. Emma's son was so scared that he quickly hugged her waist tightly. Emma covered her son's ears. Her beautiful eyes could not hide the shock in them. Although she had long known that her master's strength was powerful. But with this claw, the entire volcano was split open. This was really beyond her understanding. Rumble, rumble, huge rocks rolled down in all directions. The gigantic tree was smashed into the ground, causing it to emit cracking sounds. The left half of the volcano was like a sand sculpture, constantly sliding down. In the belly of the mountain, the night ghosts were constantly smashed into meat paste by the falling rocks. The Night King's expression also changed. He hurriedly used his telekinesis to prop up the large pieces of rock. He raised his head and looked at the falling rocks in the air, feeling a little complicated. He had been imprisoned here for tens of thousands of years, always hoping that the volcano would collapse. Now that it had finally collapsed, he could not be happy. Because it was obvious that there were strong enemies outside. And once the volcano collapsed, his strength would not be able to increase again. At most, he was a level 4 telekinesis master with the strength of a level 4 evolved night ghost. At the same time, he had to protect the magma pool from being destroyed. In the magma pool, there were volcanic crystals that were extremely important to him. It was precisely because of the volcanic crystals that his strength could continue to increase. Although the volcano was destroyed, the volcanic crystals could preserve his current strength. If the volcanic crystals were destroyed, his strength would fall below the limits of the night ghost planet. Chapter 273. It took more than 10 minutes for half of the volcano to completely collapse. Looking at the volcano again, Immerse's claw had cut off half of it. The remaining half of the volcano no longer had the momentum it had before. It looked a little funny. In the belly of the volcano, a pair of 8-meter-wide giant wings grew out of the Night King's back. It flapped its wings and slowly rose into the air. Its pair of blood-red eyes revealed extreme indignation. This human had destroyed the volcano and its home. He had destroyed the thing that could raise its strength to a level 10 psychic master. How could it not be angry? Its eyes were about to spit fire. Because it was too angry, its wings kept trembling. At the same time, its lips turned up and down, revealing its sharp teeth. 2 rows of sharp teeth clashed at an extremely fast frequency, making a strange roar. Ga 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 ga. In the next moment, it moved. It suddenly turned around and instantly flew backward. Its speed was extremely fast, 500 meters in a second. In just 10 seconds, it flew 5,000 meters. Immerse was stunned. Next to him, Emma was also stunned. It ran away. It had made such a big scene, but it turned around and ran away. Did it have any shame? Actually, the Night King couldn't be blamed for being shameless. Immerse was really too strong. Although the Night King's IQ wasn't as high as a human's, it wasn't much worse. This human could destroy the entire volcano with a single claw. Wouldn't it be sending itself to death if it fought with this human again? Moreover, the 2 humans that had entered the volcano before were obviously clones that this human had used some method to condense. Just the 2 clones' telekinesis could compete with the telekinesis of a level 4 psychic master. This showed how strong this guy's telekinesis was. Under such circumstances, what else could it wait for? Seeing this, Immerse smiled and shook his head. The level for dragons will spread out. Rip, it directly tore the Night King into pieces. He also used the dragon's will to suppress its cells so that it couldn't heal itself. At this point, the Night King that had lived on the Night Ghost planet for tens of thousands of years was finally killed. Immerse was hoping that the Night King would drop something like a Night Ghost spirit. Who would have thought that the Night King's body would be completely empty? Not even a fart had been released. System, check in for a special event. Immerse no longer hesitated and spoke directly. Killing the Night King was definitely a special event. Sign-in successful. Sign-in event, kill the Night King, sign-in reward, 1 servant of the Night King. The next moment, a small character model appeared in his backpack. Take out the character model. Above the character model, a burst of flames burned. As the flames burned, its entire body quickly transformed into the body of the Night King. A moment later, a Night King that looked exactly like the Night King appeared in front of Immerse. The Night King bowed to Immerse and spoke respectfully in human language. Master, the Night King is at your service. Immerse used the Blood Dragon's Eye to look at the Night Monarch. Species, Night Ghost, Level 4 Psychic Master, Level 4 Evolved Night Ghost. A gratified smile appeared on Immerse's face. At present, the base lacked scavenger hunters. This Night Ghost was a Level 4 Psychic Master and a Level 4 Evolved Night Ghost. Its strength could definitely crush a Level 5 hunter. Now, other than himself, Emma and the Night King were both above the level of a hunter. Finally, they were barely passable. Emma, who was beside him, was naturally very surprised. It was barely acceptable for her master to conjure something out of thin air. But to conjure a subordinate out of thin air, this was too much. Immerse said to the Night King. The thing in the volcano's magma pool should be quite helpful to you. Go and take it out. With Immerse's strength, although he could enter the magma pool, it would be quite troublesome. And this Night King was very familiar with the various attributes of the magma, so it was best to let him go. The Night King quickly flew into the volcanic ruins. In less than a moment, he flew back again. He was already holding a fist-sized crystal in his hand. The crystal was fiery red, and there seemed to be fiery red light flowing inside. This was the volcanic crystal. Immerse knew from the Night King's memories that this volcanic crystal had 2 major uses. First, it could increase the strength and speed of night ghosts within a radius of 10 kilometers by 50%. Second, it could accelerate the growth of the night ghost spirit seed within a radius of 10 kilometers. Originally, the night ghost spirit seed needed a year to grow into a night ghost spirit. But now, with the night ghost spirit seed, it would definitely grow into a night ghost spirit in 3 months to half a year. Other than its effect on other night ghosts, it also had another effect on the Night King. Within a radius of 10 kilometers, it could temporarily increase the Night King's strength. It could make him a level 10 hunter and a level 10 psychic master. Immerse originally thought that the biggest gain from this trip to the second hunting ground was the increase in his level. He didn't expect that other than the increase in level, he would also gain many benefits. This trip was not in vain. Imagining that the base's strength would increase tremendously in half a year at most, Immerse was overjoyed. At this moment, in the volcanic ruins, the night ghosts saw that the Night King was dead and the volcanic crystal had been taken away. Each and every one of them was filled with despair and fear. They hurriedly fled in all directions. Immerse didn't give them any chance to escape. He directly surrounded them with his dragon will and killed them one by one with a punch. By the time the sun rose the next day, he had killed more than 3,000 night ghosts. Finally, all the night ghosts in the death swamp were afraid of Immerse. That night, not a single night ghost appeared. Immerse was a little speechless. He asked the Night King next to him. "Can you get them all to come out?" The Night King nodded. "Yes, master." With that, the Night King plunged into the swamp. About half an hour later, the Night King emerged from the ground. At the same time, thousands of night ghosts appeared around Immerse. Seeing this, Immerse was overjoyed. He said to the Night King, "Let them attack me." The Night King was a servant that Immerse had signed in from the system. He naturally had no objections to Immerse's words. A voice that was full of vigor but also very strange came from his throat. Ga 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 ga, those night ghosts were very afraid of Immerse. But their innate fear of the Night King was 100 times greater than their fear of Immerse. Therefore, under the Night King's order, they could only bite the bullet and attack Immerse. Immerse once again went on a killing spree. In one night, he killed more than 15,000 night ghosts. For the next half a month, he killed night ghosts in the death swamp every night. Every night, he would obtain more than 30,000 drops of dragon blood. Finally, on this night, after consuming the blood of the Wyrms, his body began to heat up again. Chapter 274. It had been more than 20 days since Immerse had arrived at the second hunting ground. On this day, his body finally felt the burning sensation that he felt before leveling up. After consuming another drop of dragon blood, his body temperature soared rapidly. Soon, it reached a level that Immerse could not bear. Just like the previous times, the high temperature lasted for 5 minutes. After 5 minutes, his body temperature began to drop. He looked at his attribute interface again. Name, Immerse, Level 5 Hunter, Level 4 Long Nian Shi, Evolution Path, Titan Dragon. Immerse was in a good mood. He had leveled up 3 times in less than a month in the second hunting ground. Who else could have done it? Since the establishment of the second hunting ground, such a thing had never happened before. In less than a month, he had leveled up 3 times. Immerse began to look forward to the future. Now that he had mastered all his transformation skills, he only lacked the wings and tail to become a dragon. If he were to become a desolate hunter, would he be able to repair his wings and tail? When he could transform into a dragon, how strong would his attack be? At the same time, on a grassland more than 50,000 kilometers away from the death swamp, 2 groups of people were chasing 5 night ghosts. Damn it, why is this guy so difficult to deal with? We have been chasing it for an entire night. Can't it understand that we are dying? A scavenger said angrily. Another hunter said while panting, "Nonsense. Nonsense, do you think the night ghost spirit is so easy to obtain? He has the night ghost spirit. Even if the energy in the energy bubble is depleted, it can quickly recover. Of course it is difficult to deal with. I have finally seen the power of the night ghost spirit." The other group of people shouted. "We have 2 groups of people, but only 1 night ghost spirit. Even if we get it, we can't split it. Are you stupid? No matter what, let's get the night ghost spirit first. As for how to split it, that will be after we kill this night ghost." After saying that, the 2 groups of people blocked the night ghosts from 2 different directions. They condensed their genetic weapons and attacked. The night ghosts were instantly killed. Soon, the night ghost that possessed the night ghost spirit was resurrected. He quickly fled into the distance. These people wanted to stop the night ghost. However, after chasing for half a night, the energy in their bodies was almost depleted. He didn't dare to use his energy casually anymore. He could only watch as the night ghost escaped. Moments later, 4 or 5 more night ghosts appeared and protected this night ghost as they fled. This night ghost with the night ghost spirit seemed to have some kind of attraction. Along the way, other night ghosts came to protect it. This gave everyone a headache. They couldn't kill him, nor could they catch him. This made people feel that it was too f***ed up. However, a night ghost spirit was enough to nurture a desolate hunter. One had to know that a desolate hunter was able to establish a sect and establish a powerful force. Under this huge temptation, they could only continue forward and chase after the night ghost. The night ghost that possessed the night ghost spirit was running towards the northwest. That was the direction of the death swamp. It knew that the Night King was in the death swamp. As long as it reached the Night King, the powerful Night King would be able to kill these despicable humans. At this time, after Immerse had advanced to level 5, he knew that he had killed most of the night ghosts in the Death Swamp. He left the Death Swamp and planned to find the next gathering place of the night ghosts. One ticket allowed him to stay in the second hunting ground for a month. He wanted to kill as many night ghosts as possible before the time limit was up. At the same time, the two groups of people chasing after the night ghosts attracted a few other groups of people. They saw that the night ghost with the night ghost spirit was bigger than the average night ghost. It had 2 horns on its head and barbs on its back. They also remembered the legend from before. It was said that decades ago, the desolate hunter who obtained the night ghost spirit said that night ghosts with the night ghost spirit could transform. After transforming, they would have 2 horns on their head and barbs on their back. Thinking of this, everyone became excited. They also joined the ranks of the people chasing after this night ghost. At first, they were very excited. With their energy weapons, they could easily kill this night ghost. But soon, their expressions darkened. Every time the night ghost was killed, it would recover as quickly as possible. Then it would stand up and continue to run for its life. Was a night ghost with the night ghost spirit so difficult to kill? Even a few level 1 and level 2 telekinesis masters couldn't kill the night ghost at the cellular level with their telekinesis. With its cellular recovery speed, I'm afraid only a level 5 psychic master and above can kill it. In fact, it was just as the level 2 psychic master said. Immerse had been able to kill the night ghost with the night ghost spirit because of his level 4 dragon will, which was equivalent to the psychic power of a level 8 psychic master. He seemed to have killed the night ghost with his sharp claws. At the same time, his dragon will had also killed all of the night ghost's cells at the cellular level. This prevented it from coming back to life. At this time, the level 1 and level 2 Long Nianshi could not do anything to this night ghost. Gradually, the other factions also noticed the night ghost and joined in the hunt for the night ghost. Just as they were approaching the Death Swamp, that third young Master Cheng and his 4 bodyguards also appeared. Third young Master Cheng had just killed a few level 1 wild beasts and was resting. He was holding a piece of compressed biscuit in his hand. He complained as he ate. I haven't eaten properly for almost a month. All I eat is this brick-like stuff. I'm going to throw up. The person next to him advised, Third young Master, this is the reason why Master sent you here. I guarantee that if you encounter a similar situation in the future, you can at least last a few days. Tisk, third young Master Cheng sneered and was about to speak. At this time, he saw more than 70 people chasing a night ghost in the direction of Black Mountain Pass. He saw that this night ghost looked different from a normal night ghost. Third young Master Cheng's 4 bodyguards immediately understood. A level 6 hunter quickly said, Third young Master, this night ghost has the night ghost spirit. Third young Master Cheng froze. Night ghost spirit? What do you mean? Another said, Third young Master, you may not know, but the night ghost spirit is something produced in the night ghost's body. It's extremely precious. After absorbing it, you can immediately become a hunter. Third young Master Cheng heard this and trembled. Then what are we waiting for? Let's go. Chapter 275. When third young Master Cheng heard the benefits of the night ghost spirit, he suddenly had an idea. Then what are we waiting for? Let's go. When the others heard this, their eyes lit up. If they could get the night ghost spirit, their master would reward them handsomely when they returned. One of them even thought to himself, if I could get the night ghost spirit and become a desolate hunter immediately after absorbing it, how much effort would I have to put in? At that time, I would establish my own force and live a good life. Wouldn't it be better than being ordered around by others and being the bodyguard of this stupid young master? Hence, the 5 of them immediately chased after it. However, the night ghost had already reached the entrance of Black Mountain. It was about to enter the Death Swamp. Everyone was a little anxious. Hurry up. If it enters the Death Swamp, it will be troublesome. The Death Swamp is full of night ghosts. Even level 6 and 7 desolate hunters don't dare to enter casually. Third young Master Ching saw this and laughed. He said, "This night ghost belongs to the Ching family of Yuzhou." When everyone heard the words, Ching family of Yuzhou, they were all stunned. Finally, they stopped. Some of them were very unwilling. They had been chasing for half a night, but now they had to give it up. How could they be willing to accept this? If they could get the night ghost spirit, it was very likely that they would be able to transform from an ordinary level 1 or 2 desolate hunter to a desolate hunter. It would be easy for them to establish a sect. With their talent, this was the closest they could get to becoming a desolate hunter in their lives. If they lost it, there was a 99% chance that they would not get another chance. Now, they had to give it up. How could they be willing to accept this? However, so what if they were unwilling? Not to mention that there were so many people here, they might not be able to get the night ghost spirit. Even if they got it, they would not be able to become a desolate hunter immediately. If the people around third young Master Ching made a move, they might not even have the chance to escape. Hence, these people could only give up the night ghost. The Ching family of Yuzhou was ranked 84th in the entire Yuzhou. It was a force with a real desolate hunter. They could not afford to offend them. Someone even flattered him. "So it's young Master Cheng. Sorry for the disrespect. This night ghost spirit should belong to young Master Cheng. Even if we obtain the night ghost spirit, we won't be able to enjoy it. Since it's third young Master Cheng, what else is there to say? The night ghosts are yours." Being flattered by so many people, third young Master Ching couldn't help but laugh. There was undisguised pride in his smile. Although he didn't like his old man very much. However, he had to admit that the name, Ching Clan of Yuzhou Province, was quite useful. He waved his hand and said, "Since everyone says so, it would be impolite for me to refuse. Later on, if you encounter any trouble in Yuzhou Province, just report the name of Ching Clan of Yuzhou Province." Everyone was secretly delighted. Getting a promise from third young Master Cheng was much more reliable than getting the night ghost spirit. Third young Master Cheng then said to the 4 bodyguards beside him, "You can start now." The 4 immediately nodded to each other. The level 4 psychic used his draconic will to wrap around the night ghost, restricting its movements. The other 3 level 6 hunters surrounded the night ghost from 3 different directions. Everyone was envious when they saw the night ghost's movements being restricted. However, they could only be envious. Third young Master Cheng's eyes were also shining. Soon, he would obtain a night ghost spirit, and in the near future, he would be promoted to a desolate hunter. When that time came, his old man wouldn't dare to scold him anymore. On the contrary, he would have to treat him with respect. As for his half-brother, let's see if he still dared to compete with him for the position of clan leader. Competing with a hunter for the position of clan leader was courting death. When he thought of this, a wild smile appeared on his face. However, at this moment, a scene that no one had expected occurred. A black figure suddenly appeared in front of the night ghost, much to everyone's surprise. At the same time, the black figure's right fist. It smashed into the night ghost's head. Bang! The night ghost's head exploded. Even the night ghost's body seemed to have been shaken by the impact and exploded. Strangely, the night ghost that had resurrected more than 10 times in the middle of the night couldn't be resurrected this time. At the same time, a crystal that emitted a weak white light appeared in front of everyone's eyes. The sudden appearance of this crystal, which was emitting a faint white light, made everyone present feel their mouths go dry. After all, this was something that could promote them to a hunter. After absorbing this thing, they wouldn't be able to advance even half a step. They would forever be a level 1 hunter. However, most of them had average talent. There might not be a level 5 hunter in their lifetime. Now, there was a chance for them to become a level 1 hunter. How could this not make them excited? Just as they were getting excited, the black figure reached out, picked up the crystal that emitted a weak white light, and inserted it into his right arm. Oh no, he took the night ghost spirit. Someone suddenly shouted. The others also reacted. Just now, they were only focused on the night ghost spirit that had just appeared. Stop, this belongs to third young Master Cheng. Someone suddenly shouted. You dare to snatch something that belongs to third young Master Cheng? This is third young Master Cheng of Yozhou's Qing family. You dare to snatch something from him? Draw your sword. These people shouted one after another. Mo sure couldn't be bothered to pay attention to them. He inserted the night ghost spirit into his left hand. The two night ghost spirits seemed to be very excited when they met. The light was even brighter than before. Third young Master Cheng frowned when he saw this. He had already recognized that the guy who took the night ghost spirit was the man beside the beauty when they bought the tickets. At this moment, Emma had already rushed over. Everyone glanced at Emma and didn't pay attention to her anymore. To these hunters, a night ghost spirit was much more valuable than any beautiful woman. Only third young Master Cheng's eyes lit up. With a kind smile, he said to Emma, "Beauty, you must have suffered a lot with him these days." Emma didn't pay attention to him. She stayed by Mo Shi's side like a loyal servant. The smile on third young Master Cheng's face disappeared, and he frowned again. When he looked at Mo Shi, his eyes were filled with anger. This woman ignored him, but she was so loyal to this man. This made him feel like he had lost face. Since that was the case, he would kill him. Thinking of this, he growled at the 4 bodyguards. Kill him. Chapter 276. The young master of the Qing family had been coveting Emma for a long time. He had played with many women. He had long gotten tired of those innocent girls, mature ladies, and lawless. And in the past 6 months, he had discovered the benefits of mature women. Therefore, he had a soft spot for this type of woman. Although they had given birth before, those who had given birth were actually more attractive. When he had first arrived at the second hunting ground, he had wanted to kill Mo Shi and snatch the woman beside him. But at that time, his bodyguards had advised him not to do so. They had said that the purpose of coming here was to gain experience and not to cause any trouble. But now, this guy had dared to snatch his night ghost spirit. It gave him a reason. He would kill him and then take this woman for himself. Thinking of this, his eyes couldn't help but reveal a hint of anticipation. However, at this moment, the 4 powerhouses had solemn expressions. Even the level 4 psychic said in a low voice, "Young master, it's not good to make a move now. Let's contact the family." Hearing this, third young Master Cheng was instantly enraged. This kid is at most a level 2 hunter. Can't you just kill him? What family? In his opinion, he didn't need to use the family's power for such a small matter. Wouldn't his father scold him to death? The level 4 psychic shook his head and said, "No, third young master, listen to me. He just killed this night ghost with the strength of a level 3 hunter with 1 punch with his bare hands." The people from the other forces heard the level 4 psychic's words. They all suddenly understood. Their attention just now was all on the night ghost spirit. They didn't care at all how the man in black killed the night ghost. Now that they heard the level 4 psychic's words, they remembered. Just now, the man in black really killed the night ghost with the strength of a level 3 hunter with his bare hands. Without using any energy, he killed the night ghost that they couldn't kill for half a night with his bare hands. This guy's physical strength was really terrifying. Hearing this, third young Master Cheng was slightly surprised. But more than that, he complained, to be able to kill the night ghost with 1 punch with his physical strength. So, its real strength should be above a level 5 hunters. Why would a level 5 and above scavenger come to the second hunting ground? Are you bored out of your mind? What the level 4 psychic master said next shocked these people even more. Also, to be able to kill this night ghost at the cellular level, the level of telekinesis must be very low. In other words, there is at least a level 4 psychic master behind him. Everyone's heart trembled when they heard this. They couldn't help but turn to look at Emma, who hadn't paid much attention to her. There was no doubt that the level 4 psychic master was this woman. Third young Master Ching also looked at Emma. He had really underestimated this woman. However, sooner or later, he would make this woman submit to him. The level 4 psychic master then said to third young Master Ching. So, third young master, it's best if you contact your family immediately. That way, you'll have a higher chance of getting those 2 night ghost spirits. His words were almost whispered into third young Master Chang's ear. Third young Master Ching stared blankly at the level 4 psychic master. The level 4 psychic master said, when he inserted the night ghost spirit into his hand, I detected that he already had a night ghost spirit in his body. This is a serious matter. Third young master, please contact your family as soon as possible. Third young Master Ching immediately turned to look at Immerse. His eyes were filled with murderous intent. This brat had already gotten his hands on a night ghost spirit. Since he already had a night ghost spirit, he still wanted to steal my night ghost spirit. How preposterous. Thinking of this, his eyes were as sharp as an eagle's as he stared at Immerse. He said, return those 2 night ghost spirits to me. In his words, he actually considered the one that Immerse had previously obtained as belonging to the Ching family. Immerse's gaze swept across the crowd and finally landed on third young Master Ching. On what basis? Third young Master Ching raised his chin and said proudly, on the basis of the name Yozhou's Ching family. Immerse sneered. Yozhou's Ching family? That's nothing. As soon as he said this, everyone present was stunned. Was this guy crazy? The Yozhou's Ching family was one of the top 100 forces in Yuzhou. He actually said that the Yozhou's Ching family was nothing. It was as if he didn't want to live anymore. Third young Master Ching frowned when he saw this. Brat, you have to think carefully. The Yozhou's Ching family, bang. Before third young Master Ching could finish speaking, he heard a muffled sound. When he looked down, he saw a claw piercing his chest. The claw looked like a night ghost's claw, but it was fiery red. In its claws, there was a beating heart. In the next moment, the claw exerted a little force. Bang! That heart was instantly destroyed. Fresh blood and fragments splattered all over third young Master Chang's face. Third young Master Chang's expression changed drastically. He quickly reached out to grab a bodyguard next to him and shouted, "Save me!" Before he could finish speaking, his entire body had already fallen to the ground. The bodyguard next to him also had a terrified look on his face. He did want to save third young Master Ching just now. Not only him, but all the 4 bodyguards would be able to save third young Master Ching in time with their strength. However, just as they were about to make a move, they realized that an invisible force had restrained them. The 4 of them could not even blink, let alone make a move. The 4 of them were extremely frightened. The one who felt it the most was the level 4 psychic master. As a level 4 psychic master, his psychic power was already very strong. However, in front of the other party's psychokinesis, he did not even have a chance to resist. The other party's psychic power was definitely above that of a level 5 psychic master. Thinking of this, he cursed himself in his heart. Damn it, why did he not notice this level 5 psychic master earlier? If he had known, he would have left this place even if he had to give up the night ghost spirit. However, it was all too late now. The moment third young Master Ching collapsed, everyone was shocked. Were these people crazy? They dared to provoke the Yozhou's Ching family? However, in the next moment, their shock turned into panic. This guy even dared to provoke the Ching family and kill third young Master Ching. What else did he not dare to do? Especially when third young Master Chang's body slowly fell down. They saw the figure behind him. It was a huge figure that was about 3 meters tall. There were 2 horns on its head, and its body was covered in armor-like scales. There were spikes on its shoulders. Its entire body was fiery red. No one knew what kind of creature it was. However, this creature was able to kill third young Master Cheng without anyone noticing. It was definitely not weak. Thinking of this, these people did not dare to stay for even a second longer. They all wanted to turn around and escape. However, could they escape? Chapter 277. They wanted to escape, but could they? Previously, they had helped third young Master Cheng and asked Immerse to give up the night ghost spirit. Now that third young Master Cheng was dead, they wanted to leave just like that. One could imagine that if they returned to Yuzhou, the first thing they would do would be to look for the Cheng family. They would tell the Cheng family how they saw their men kill third young Master Cheng. They would use this to gain benefits. Immerse naturally would not let them go. However, Immerse was too lazy to deal with these people himself. He only used his dragon will to kill third young Master Cheng's 3 bodyguards. After that, he would leave everything to the Night King. Immerse wanted to see how strong he was. The Night King had the telekinesis of a level 4 psychic master and could restrict the movements of these people. He was also extremely fast. He could also drill in and out of the ground at will. In just over 40 seconds, he had killed all 70 people. Immerse nodded slightly. The Night Monarch's strength could be considered decent at the moment. A level 4 psychic master combined with a level 4 evolved night ghost was enough to crush a level 5 hunter. After killing all these people, Immerse used his draconic sense to carefully investigate the area. After making sure that there were no traces of his identity, he quickly left the Black Mountain Pass with Emma and the night ghosts. Of course, he knew that with the technology of the Flaming Land, the Qing family of Yuzhou would find out sooner or later. However, if he could stall for as long as he could, he would stall for as long as possible. And don't forget that Immerse now had 2 night ghost spirits. After returning, he would be able to create 2 hunters. By then, would he be afraid of the Qing family of Yuzhou? What a joke. Next, Immerse stayed in the second hunting ground for a few more days. He obtained tens of thousands of drops of giant dragon blood. After consuming it, he felt that the energy in his body was stronger than that of a level 10 hunter. Now, even if he did not use his dragon will, he could kill a level 10 hunter with just his energy. In other words, he was invincible below the hunter level. This time, his harvest on the second hunting island was not small. Finally, a month passed. Immerse put the Night King into his personal reservoir and brought Emma and her son back to the second hunting island. After a few hours of flying, they returned to base number 1. When Happy heard that Immerse had returned, he could not help but rush over in delight. As the saying goes, absence makes the heart grow fonder. After not seeing each other for a month, the two of them were naturally very close. Emma took the child and excused herself from Immerse. As for the Night King, Immerse also released him. The people in the base saw that Mr. Immerse had brought the monster back. They were all a little fearful. They had seen mutated beasts, desolate beasts, vampires, zombies, and zombies on Earth. But he had never seen such a monster. However, when they saw that this monster treated Mr. Immerse like a servant treating his master, they were all relieved. Immerse released the 10 night ghosts from his personal reservoir. He'd planted the seeds of the night ghost spirit in all 10 of them. Immerse took out the volcanic crystal and gave it to the Night King. He said, "Keep an eye on the volcanic crystal and them. After half a year, the night ghost spirit in their bodies will mature." The Night King replied respectfully, "Yes, Master." Immerse asked people to place the Night King and the 10 night ghosts in the basement. He told the Night King to tell Guojutao if he needed anything. The Night King accepted the order and quickly left. Then Immerse found Guojutao and said to him, "Choose 2 people. Choose 2 people. I have something here. After consuming it, you will be able to become a desolate hunter for a short period of time." Guojutao's eyes lit up when he heard this. Desolate hunter. He estimated that it would take him a few decades to reach this level. Mr. Mo, look at me. Guojutao could not help but lick his lips and say embarrassedly. He was a little sissy to begin with, and his embarrassment made him look like a little girl. Mo sure could not help but feel a chill. He quickly waved his hand. Stop. Although you can become a desolate hunter in a short time after taking that thing, your strength will not be able to increase by even one level. So it's only suitable for those without talent. Guojutao thought for a moment and said, Mr. Mo, I think I'm suitable. Although my talent is not bad and I might be able to become a second or even third level desolate hunter in the future, I'm now in charge of the entire base and have no time to cultivate. Mo sure thought for a moment and said, everyone in the base is trying to improve their strength. You're the only one who's neglected your cultivation because you're in charge of so many things. Everyone in the base has seen your sacrifice for the base. In that case, I'll give you a night ghost spirit. After saying that, Mo sure scratched his left palm with his right fingernail. 2 crystals emitting a faint white light appeared in his palm. He took out one of them and said to Guojutao, this is the night ghost spirit. This is the night ghost spirit. After absorbing it, you can become a desolate hunter. Guojuhu nodded repeatedly. Thank you, Mr. Mo sure said, go back and absorb it. Yes, Mr. Mo. Guojutao held the night ghost spirit, thanked him repeatedly, and quickly left. 3 days later, Guojutao came to Mo sure again. At this time, Guojutao's temperament had obviously changed. He had become more feminine. Her every movement exuded the charm of a woman. He even bowed to Mo sure like a woman. Seeing this, Mo sure was stupefied. Could it be that the night ghost spirit had the effect of changing gender? Mo sure looked at Guojutao with the blood dragon's eye. Species, human, level 1 desolate hunter, talent, unawakened. Mo sure was overjoyed. A real desolate hunter had finally appeared in the base. He knew that after becoming a desolate hunter, one would awaken their talent. Some people awakened their talent at level 1. Some people had to reach level 5 or even higher to awaken their talent. The earlier one awakened their talent, the higher the talent. Their future achievements would naturally be higher. Although Guojutao had not awakened his talent yet, Mo sure knew that with the help of the virtual dragon palace, it would not be long before he awakened his talent. Mo sure had a faint smile on his face as he asked, how do you feel? Guojutao lowered his head shyly. He acted like a girl and said, I feel like I finally have the feeling of being a real woman. Pfft, Mo sure almost spat out. You didn't castrate yourself before absorbing the night ghost spirit, did you? Guojutao rolled his eyes at Mo sure and said, Mr. Mo, you're so annoying. Mr. Mo, you're so annoying. Why would I do such a thing? It's just that after absorbing the night ghost spirit, it's like I've completely released the nature of a woman. I feel like my body and mind are finally completely free. At this moment, I just want to say that it's good to be a woman. Mo sure, pfft. Chapter 278. After another 3 days, the second desolate hunter who had absorbed the night ghost spirit appeared. Now, in the base, the sea dragon clone had reached the strength of a level 3 evolved wild beast, which was equivalent to a level 3 desolate hunter. In addition, there were 2 desolate hunters who had taken the night ghost spirit. There were also nearly 20 cheetah mechs. Such high-end combat power was much stronger than the high-end combat power of some other forces. For example, the Qing family of Yuzhou, ranked 84th in Yuzhou, only had 1 desolate hunter in their family, and he was only a level 1 desolate hunter. They only had 10 mechs. Now, what the base lacked the most were mid-level and low-level combat power like desolate hunters. However, with the help of the virtual dragon palace, a large number of level 1 desolate hunters would appear in the near future. Now, Mo sure was already a level 5 desolate hunter. Next, he should consider looking for some level 5 desolate beasts to improve his strength. There were many infected creatures on the 5th hunting island that were equivalent to level 5 desolate beasts. However, Immerse did not plan to go there for the time being. After fighting for a month, he had to take a break and adjust. Otherwise, if he continued to kill endlessly, how different would he be from a killing machine? So, he checked in at the base every day. He went to the beach to enjoy the breeze with Happy. When he was free, he farmed happily with Happy at Happy Farm. His days were comfortable. On the mainland, in Yuzhou, it was not comfortable at all. Because Yuzhou was the closest to the second hunting island on the mainland. Therefore, most of the people who went to the second hunting island were from Yuzhou. However, this time, among the more than 20 forces in Yuzhou, none of the people who went to the second hunting island returned. It was acceptable to have casualties in these hunting grounds. However, with so many forces going at once, and no one coming back, it was a big problem. Among them, the Qing family of Yuzhou, ranked 84th, was the most unhappy. In the Qing family of Yuzhou, the head of the family, Qing Qingqing, was frowning as he looked at the 5 tickets that his subordinate had just brought back from the second hunting island. A subordinate next to him reported, "Master, we have sent drones to conduct a carpet search of the entire second hunting ground 5 times, but we did not find the young master and his 4 followers." Speaking of this, the subordinate's voice was slightly low. He said carefully, "According to our speculation, young master might have met with an accident." When the head of the Qing family heard this, his tone was filled with suppressed anger. "It's not an accident. It's murder. The 4 people protecting him are 3 level 6 scavenger and 1 level 4 psychic. With such strength, he was invincible in the entire second hunting ground. Who else can be stronger than them?" The subordinate's body trembled slightly as he replied, "This. Perhaps it could only be that mysterious expert." Mysterious expert? Qing Qingqing's eyes narrowed. He looked at the subordinate and said, "Speak." The subordinate hurriedly replied, "Our drones have discovered a lot of night ghosts' corpses in Hell Wasteland and Death Swamp. Almost all of these corpses were killed with a single punch. And from the looks of it, he killed these night ghosts with only his physical strength. We asked around and heard that it was done by a mysterious expert. As for the true face of this mysterious expert, no one has seen it before." Qing Qingqing's eyes flickered when he heard this. A moment later, his gaze suddenly focused. "When did the mysterious expert appear?" The subordinate replied, 31st March. A hint of ruthlessness flashed across Qing Qingqing's eyes. "Investigate everyone who entered the second hunting ground from the 1st to the 31st of March." The subordinate's heart skipped a beat. The second hunting ground had a lot of people to begin with. There were at least tens of thousands of people entering the hunting ground every day. Within a month, there were more than 300,000 people. It was extremely difficult to investigate. However, with the Qing family's influence, although it was difficult to investigate, it was not impossible. He hurriedly replied, "Yes, sir." Qing Qingqing added, "Find me all the private detectives in Yuzhou province." The subordinate replied again, "Yes, sir." Hence, in the next few days, all the private detectives in Yuzhou swarmed into the second hunting ground. They spent more than 20 days before they finally found some DNA of Qing Qingqing's 3rd young master in the Death Swamp. According to their speculation, Qing Qingqing was already dead. They narrowed down the scope of the murderer from 300,000 people to 30 people. These 30 people included Immerse, Emma, and the others. Qing Qingqing looked at the information of these people from the projection screen. After a simple glance, he asked, "Is there anyone from the top 100 forces?" The subordinate replied, "No." Qing Qingqing's gaze turned cold as he waved his hand. "Catch all of them. I want to interrogate them personally." According to the laws of the Flaming Continent, private punishment was not allowed. Moreover, they only suspected these people and did not have any evidence at all. Therefore, Qing Qingqing wanted to use private punishment to interrogate them directly. It was obvious how overbearing the Qing family was. Of course, the Qing family was not the only one. Almost all the top 100 forces had violated the laws of the continent to some extent. However, the enforcers would turn a blind eye to it. There was a saying that said, "Rules are for the weak." The strong did not need rules at all. The subordinate heard his master's words and hurriedly replied, "Yes, sir." Then, he quickly left. Ching looked at the distant mountains outside the window. His gaze was sharp and ruthless. "How dare you touch my son? I'll bury your whole family with him." At the same time, Ching's eldest son, Ching Kuan, and second son, Ching Peng, were also secretly discussing. The eldest son, Ching Kuan, said in a low voice, "Second brother, that useless third brother actually died in the second hunting ground. This is so satisfying." The second son, Ching Peng, said, "Big brother, the heavens are helping me. Don't worry, I won't fight with you for the position of the head of the family. As long as you help me marry the two young ladies of the Su family, I'll enjoy the happiness of family in the future. When our old man passes away, the Ching family will be yours." The eldest son, Ching Kuan, said, "Ha ha ha ha, second brother, you really love beauties more than the country." The second son, Ching Peng, laughed. "Big brother, everyone has their own preferences. You love the country, I prefer beauties." "I don't understand the beauty of the country, how can you understand the beauty of the beauties?" The eldest son, Ching Kuan, nodded. "That's true. When the time comes, we'll each take what we want. However, we still have to help father deal with the matter of that useless third brother. Only by finding the murderer and avenging him can we make father happy." The second son, Ching Peng, agreed. "Big brother is right. When we go to catch the murderer tomorrow, let's go together. Let's go together." Chapter 279. It had been a month since Immerse came back from the second hunting ground. Immerse still didn't make a move these days. He just put the sea dragon clone in the sea near the first hunting island. The sea dragon clone was only a level 3 mutated wild beast. Based on his current strength, its limit should be a level 5 mutated wild beast. The sea dragon clone wandered in the nearby sea and devoured the wild beasts here. The wild beasts here were mostly level 1 to level 5. After the sea dragon clone devoured them, it gained very little. If he wanted to level up quickly, he had to go deeper into the sea. But Immerse knew from the emails and messages of the Ching family in Yuzhou intercepted by Little Monk that the Ching family had confirmed a list of 30 suspects. It seemed that the Ching family would soon find him. So he postponed the plan of sending the sea dragon clone to the deep sea. Finally, another 3 days passed. Outsiders appeared on the first hunting island again. There were 10 of them. And they brought a flying mecha with them. This mecha was not in the form of a cheetah. It was in the form of a giant eagle. Its main function was aerial reconnaissance and aerial attack. The 10 people brought the giant eagle mecha to the sky above the first hunting island. They saw that the entire first hunting island was almost blood red. They were not surprised. A few months ago, someone said that the first hunting island was infected with some kind of virus. But what surprised them was that on the hunting island surrounded by blood red, there was not a trace of blood red around the factory in the central area. Most of it was green. Green vegetables, wheat, corn, and other crops were planted. There were also a few humans and many robots working in the fields. The man in the lead was the second young master of the Ching family, Ching Peng. He glanced at the green field below and then shouted loudly. "Immerse, Emma, and his stupid son, get out here." In the fields below, the few people working looked up at the 10 people and the giant eagle mecha in the sky. Then they lowered their heads and continued to work in the fields. It was not the first time that outsiders had invaded the base. How could he ever return alive? In the base, there was Mr. Mo and 2 newly matured desolate hunters. At the very least, even if Mr. Mo and the 2 desolate hunters were not around, wouldn't they still be happy? Happy was not any weaker than a desolate hunter. They had been on the continent for quite some time now. He had some understanding of heaven's oracles. He knew how terrifying a Heaven's Oracle was. Absolute defense, ignores the opponent's level. Absolute destruction, ignoring the opponent's level. It could be said that Happy was the greatest killing weapon in the entire base. With these safeguards in place, what did they have to worry about? The 10 people in the sky were all stunned. Even if the other party's strength was very strong, he should at least pay attention to them, right? But now, he was being ignored. Qingpeng frowned and snorted coldly. It wasn't like they hadn't seen such a pretentious person before. However, no matter how pretentious he was, as long as he mentioned that he was from the Qing clan of Yuzhou, the Qing clan of Yuzhou, these people would immediately become like his grandsons, eager to lick his heels. Thinking of this, he cleared his throat and shouted, "Listen up, I'm Qingpeng, the second young master of Qing clan in Yuzhou province. Tell your island's Immerse, Emma, and their stupid sons to come out immediately." When the people below heard this, they finally reacted. However, when Qingpeng saw their reactions, he had the urge to beat them up. They looked at each other, and the fire of gossip burned in their eyes. Sure enough, Emma was really Mr. Mo's woman. And that child was really their son. But why would their son be like that? Mr. Mo was a smart person, and Emma didn't look stupid either. It didn't seem to be hereditary. Qingpeng was about to go berserk when he saw these people's expressions. Several level 7 scavengers and a level 6 psychic master next to him said, "That's right. Second young master, these people don't know the rules, we have to teach them a lesson." Qingpeng looked at the virtual screen on his watch, the image of the woman called Emma. He nodded. Originally, he didn't want to use violence because of this woman. But since these people didn't know how to appreciate his kindness, he could only use violence. Thinking of this, he nodded slightly to the keyboard player beside him. The keyboard player immediately started to operate the keyboard on his waist. Soon, the wings of the giant eagle mech trembled. It was about to throw a bomb. This was the Qing clan's way of fighting. No matter what, the giant eagle mech first threw a round of bombs as a deterrent. However, the moment the giant eagle mech was activated, the fiery red light in its eyes suddenly extinguished. Then, it fell from the sky towards the ground. Everyone was stunned. Keyboard player, what's going on? The keyboard player was also dumbfounded. He didn't know what was going on either. It suddenly stopped working. He hurriedly danced his hands on the keyboard quickly. Just as the giant eagle mech was about to fall to the ground, it finally ejected a stream of particles again. It stabilized its body and slowly flew up. Everyone's expressions also became much better. However, the keyboard player's expression became even uglier. Others couldn't understand the meaning of the series of symbols on the screen. He, of course, couldn't understand it either. Because it was completely garbled. His computer had been hacked. Moreover, even a computer expert like him was at a loss of what to do. Amidst his shock, his 10 fingers danced rapidly in the air. In just half a minute, he had tried at least 10 ways to save himself after being hacked. However, every time he tried, it was as if he had sunk into a deeper swamp. He felt as if every step he was going to take was within the other party's expectations. The other party seemed to have set up a series of traps long ago, waiting for him to fall into them step by step, and he fell deeper and deeper. In the end, there was no longer even a trace of possibility of escaping. Finally, after a moment, he turned his head to look at Qingpeng. His lips trembled, and he said a fact that terrified everyone, "Second young master. Our mech has been hacked." When the people next to him heard this, their expressions changed drastically. "Protect the young master, run quickly." A level 7 hunter hurriedly shouted. However, as soon as he finished speaking, 2 energy rays instantly shot out from the falcon mech's wings. Swoosh swoosh, the level 7 hunter who spoke had his head pierced directly by the 2 energy rays. Even the level 6 psychic master behind him had his head pierced directly. When the rest of the people saw this, their expressions changed drastically. It was their falcon mech, but now it's suddenly turned to attack them. How could they not be terrified? Run quickly. Run. Keyboard player, activate the self-destruct program. Chapter 280. It had been more than 300 years since the birth of mechas in the Flaming Land. The technology of mechas was very mature. In order to prevent the mechas from being hacked by people with ulterior motives, not only did they set up layers of firewalls, but every mecha was also equipped with a self-destruct program. Once the mecha was hijacked by other hackers, they could also activate the self-destruct program. This would prevent the mechas from attacking them in turn. Ching-Peng and the others saw that it was too late to escape. Ching-Peng hurriedly shouted to the keyboard player, "Activate the self-destruct program." The keyboard player hurriedly operated in a flurry. A moment later, after the mecha killed another level 7 hunter, the self-destruct program finally activated. The huge amount of energy contained in the mecha's hydrogen battery suddenly exploded. Boom! A huge shock wave immediately spread out in all directions. At the same time, in the base factory, the little monk suddenly became angry and cursed, F***ck. Give me 5 more minutes, 5 more minutes will do. As long as he was given 5 more minutes, he could even crack the self-destruct program. These bastards. A flying mech was perfectly fine, and they destroyed it just like that. Don't they feel sorry for it at all? If the people of the Qing family knew about this little monk, they would probably want to kill him. A mecha was worth hundreds of millions, who wouldn't feel sorry for it? But you controlled the mecha and wanted to kill us. What can we do? The little monk cursed for a full 5 minutes. After cursing, he wiped the saliva from the corner of his mouth. He said, "Shirtai, Shirtai. Monks shouldn't be angry. Amitba, it's good." As he spoke, he put his palms together and closed his eyes. It was as if he had entered a meditative state. But only 10 seconds later, he opened his eyes again. Anger rose in his eyes. But the more I think about it, the angrier I get. F***ck, this group of prodigal things, he continued to spit out fragrant words. At the same time, in the sky above the base, Ching-Peng and the others had originally hoped that the huge power of the hydrogen battery explosion would cause great damage to the factory below. They could then take care of the people in the base. Even if it didn't cause great damage, it would cause chaos. They could take advantage of the chaos to escape. But the scene they saw made them unable to understand at all. The shockwave from the explosion of the mecha had just spread out to a diameter of 10 meters. However, it seemed to be suppressed by a powerful force. Flames, debris, and even the sound of explosions only spread within a radius of 10 meters. Anything beyond 10 meters would not be affected at all. Even the sound of an explosion could not be heard. They could only see some flames and thick smoke. Little did they know that this was the effect of the Virtual Dragon Palace's defense. The defense of the Virtual Dragon Palace could not only withstand external attacks, but it could also withstand attacks from enemies within the palace. F***cku. Ching-Peng was shocked. What the hell is wrong with this hunting island number 1? Run! Run! Ching-Peng roared. He didn't dare to stay any longer and quickly fled outside. However, right at this moment, whoosh, a fiery red light pillar as thick as a thigh shot over in an instant. Ching-Peng didn't see the fiery red light beam coming. She felt a chill on her back and chest. Then, he saw a beam of light shoot out from his chest and continue forward. In an instant, he disappeared into the distance. He looked at his chest again. There was already a thigh-sized hole. At this moment, Ching-Peng's heart seemed to have fallen into a bottomless abyss. Panic was like a tidal wave, engulfing him from all directions. He was instantly drowned by this panic and could no longer struggle to get ashore. Save me, he placed his last hope on the people he brought with him. However, when those people saw this terrifying scene, they didn't dare to stay any longer. They stepped on their flying skateboards and flew away at a speed of 1 kilometer per second. A bunch of heartless bastards. Ching Peng stepped on the flying skateboard and flew unsteadily while cursing. A big hole in the chest was not a rare thing in the Flaming Continent. With the physical strength of the Flaming Continent scavengers and the medical technology of the Flaming Continent, they could completely recover. However, these people abandoned him and ran away. They usually ate, lived, and spent the Qing family's food. Now that it was time to use them, they ran away without looking back. If he had a glimmer of hope to return to the Qing family today, he would not let these bastards go. At this moment, the others were also extremely frightened. What kind of attack was this? It could blast such a big hole in a person's chest with just one hit. This hunting island number 1 was really terrifying. If they didn't run now, were they going to stay for the new year? Whoosh, another fiery red light beam hit the head of a level 7 scavenger. That level 7 scavenger's head exploded instantly. It was like opening a watermelon and putting in a powerful firecracker. Boom, the watermelon exploded instantly. Pieces of watermelon pulp and watermelon juice splashed out. Qing Peng saw this and was both scared and happy. He was scared that this person's head would explode. If he didn't run quickly, he would follow in his footsteps. He was happy that he let you run away. Run again. Whoosh, 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 more than a dozen fiery red light beams shot out. The bodies of the scavengers and psychic masters who ran in front of Qing Peng were instantly blasted into pieces like bedsheets with big holes. They fell down one after another. Qing Peng was completely panicking this time. Everyone he brought with him was finished. The mecha was also finished. Then he, just as he thought of this. Whoosh, 2 light beams came one after the other. They cut him in half at the waist. His upper body flew high into the air. He kept spinning and rolling in the air. He felt a little dizzy and wanted to vomit. It was very uncomfortable. He had been prone to motion sickness since he was a child and often vomited. And this time, he was afraid that it would be the last time in his life. Whoosh, another beam of light shot out. He just happened to see the light pillar shooting straight at him. And the place where the light beam came from was actually the air. There were no weapons there, and the beam of light came out of nowhere. How was this possible? Did they use some kind of technology to make their weapons invisible? But he didn't need to know. Boom, his head also turned into a watermelon. At this point, the Qing family's dozen people were all wiped out. Speaking of which, this virtual dragon palace was simply a killing machine. It could kill anyone below the level of a desolate hunter. With such a defense, even if the other party had tens of millions of people attacking the base, as long as there were no desolate hunters, they were basically sending themselves to death. In the fields around the base, those who were farming looked at the people in the sky being killed one after another. They didn't have any emotional fluctuations. They were already used to such a scene. At this time, Immerse looked in the direction where these people fell. His eyes were full of killing intent. Chapter 281. 281 Giant Eagle Mecha. Immerse looked at the falling members of the Qing family with killing intent in his eyes. From the memories he plundered, he already knew the details of the Qing family in Yuzhou. 1 level, 1 desolate hunter and 17 level, 10 desolate hunters. In addition, there were more than 10 mechas on the surface, but in fact, there were a total of 20 mechas. Such strength, in the eyes of others, was very strong. But for the current Immerse, it was just a so-so. Not to mention other things, just the sea dragon avatar, a level 3 mutated desolate beast, could crush the entire Qing family. After all, a level 3 mutated desolate beast was equivalent to a level 3 desolate hunter. The Qing family didn't even have a level 2 desolate hunter, let alone a level 3 one. However, with Immerse's cautious personality, it was naturally impossible for him to casually decide the Qing family's strength. What if the Qing family had an unknown ancestor or something with the strength of a level 2 or even level 3 desolate hunter. So before going to the Ching family, he would first upgrade the sea dragon avatar to a level 5 mutated desolate beast. Thinking of this, Immerse signed in his mind, System, Special Events Sign In. The system's voice came quickly as usual, frowny face, sign in successful. Sign in event, destroy the Ching family's giant eagle mecha, kill the second young master of the Ching family. Sign in reward, giant eagle mecha, well, not bad. Immerse now understood the rules of the system's rewards. He had long expected that he would be rewarded with a giant eagle mecha. The giant eagle mecha might not be as good as other types of mechas in a one-on-one battle, but its flying and bombing abilities were definitely top-notch. Such a giant eagle mecha could carry out a full coverage carpet bombing within a radius of 15 kilometers. Its bombing ability was indeed exaggerated. Then, Immerse came to the little monk's room. At this time, the little monk was looking at the debris on the ground in front of him. He had a grief-stricken expression. Seeing Immerse come in, he shook his head and said, "Don't talk to me, I want to be alone. Jingjing was my desk mate in elementary school." Immerse saw the little monk like this. Although he was still joking, his face was full of despair. Naturally, he understood his problem. The giant eagle mecha can't be repaired? The small monk shook his head. "Boss, you're underestimating me too much. I can still barely repair this level of damage. However, after it was repaired, it would probably have less than 10% of its original combat strength. Their self-destruct system is too fucked up." Immerse's eyes flashed with surprise. He had always thought that this little monk was only talented in software. He didn't expect him to be so talented in hardware as well. After the mech self-destructed, it became a pile of scrap metal. But this guy could even repair such a pile of scrap metal. It was indeed a little exaggerated. However, a repaired one would still be an old one, and its performance would definitely be greatly reduced. As he thought of this, Immerse moved his mind, and the giant eagle mecha that he had just received appeared outside the little monk's window. At the same time, the giant eagle mech's keyboard appeared in Immerse's hands. Immerse handed the keyboard to the small monk. Brand new. The small monk was stunned. Looking at the giant eagle mech outside the window, her eyes twinkled like little stars. F***CK, boss, you're too awesome. Boss V5, boss is awesome. The small monk took the keyboard and exclaimed a series of exclamations. Then he strode outside the house and circled the giant eagle mech with a wingspan of 5 meters 3 times, stroking the body of the mech as he turned. It was as if he had seen a lover he hadn't seen for a few years. After more than 5 minutes, he turned his gaze to Immerse. He had a feeling that his boss seemed to have some kind of ability. Every time something attacked the base, his boss would quickly have the other party's weapon appear in his hands. No matter how advanced and difficult this weapon was to obtain, his boss would still get it. This was very magical. Immerse said to the small monk, "Familiarize yourself with this mech as soon as possible. There will be a lot of people coming to the base recently." Hearing this, the small monk's eyes lit up. "Okay boss, don't worry, I'll be familiar with it in 2 or 3 days." Immerse nodded. After handing the mech to the small monk, he left the small monk's residence. Next, the most important thing was to upgrade the sea dragon avatar to a level 5 mutant wild beast. The fastest way to upgrade the sea dragon avatar quickly was to let it devour a level 3 mutant wild beast. Where were the most level 3 mutant wild beasts? Without a doubt, it was the 12th and 13th hunting grounds. Immerse thought for a moment and decided to go directly to the 13th hunting ground. He had read some guides on the internet before. He knew that from the 10th hunting ground onwards, only hunters could survive in it. When he went to those hunting grounds, not only were there all kinds of monsters equivalent to hunters, but even the local aborigines were below the level of hunters. For example, in the 13th hunting ground, the strongest aborigines were. Their strength had already reached the level of level 3 hunters. Therefore, when he went there to train, he would face many kinds of pressure. However, Immerse had many trump cards. For him, this was nothing. After returning to his residence, he called Guo Jutao over and said, "I'll be out for a few days. There will probably be people coming to the base to cause trouble. If the other party is below the level of a hunter, you don't have to do anything. If the other party is a level 1 hunter, just kill them." Guo Jutao nodded. "Yes, Mr. Imo." In the base, there were 2 level 1 hunters and more than 20 giant eagle mechas. Therefore, even if the level 1 hunters of the Qing family came, they would not be afraid of him at all. After everything was done, he bid farewell to Happy. Immerse used Dragon's Shadow Steps and teleported to the 13th hunting island. The 13th hunting island was millions of kilometers away from the first hunting island. Usually, such a long distance would be covered by using wormhole technology. However, the cost of using wormhole technology was higher. In addition, Immerse's strength had not reached the top level in the continent, so he did not want to leave too much information in the hands of outsiders. Moreover, his Dragon's Shadow Steps could teleport him 100 kilometers away. Over 1,000,000 kilometers, that was only about 10,000 teleportations. At most, he would teleport for close to 3 hours. Therefore, Immerse's figure disappeared in an instant. When he reappeared, he was already hundreds of kilometers away. Then, with another teleport, he was already 200 kilometers away. This kind of traveling speed was truly a little too terrifying. Of course, using teleportation continuously consumed a lot of energy in his body. However, don't forget that the amount of energy in his body far exceeded that of hunters of the same level. In addition, he could drink recovery potions like they were drinks. Therefore, this kind of consumption was nothing. After nearly 3 hours, he finally landed on the 13th hunting island. The child is half a year old and goes to bed at 1:00 every night. I have to get up at 6:00 in the morning to write my story. Every day, including the lunch break, I only sleep for 6 hours. I don't have enough sleep, so from now on, I will only be able to update twice a week. Chapter 282. Hunting Island number 13 was a steel island. The entire island was built with a large amount of steel in the sea. Of course, a man-made island was naturally not as big as Immerse's Hunting Island number 1. At the center of the island was the entrance to Hunting Ground number 13. On the entire continent, there were very few people who had reached the level of a desolate hunter. Not to mention those who could reach the level of a level 3 desolate hunter or above, which was even rarer. Therefore, there was almost no human traffic on Hunting Ground number 13. In the spacious hall, there was not even a shadow other than Immerse. Immerse scanned the surroundings with his dragon's will and found that there were about 30,000 people on Hunting Island number 13. Of course, these 10,000 people were all residents of the island. They made a living by mining crystal veins in the nearby sea. Immerse went to the self-service ticket terminal and bought a ticket. A ticket cost 130,000. However, Immerse was not short of money. Following the instructions from the computer, he entered the teleportation hall from the side door of the ticket hall. In the teleportation hall, there was a person waiting to be teleported. This was a man who looked to be in his 50s with a full beard. There was a chair at the side, but he did not sit. Instead, he sat cross-legged on the cold floor of the hall. In his arms, he was holding a long sword that was pitch black with occasional white fluorescent strips on it. It looked very high-tech. He was resting with his eyes closed. When he heard Immerse come in, he opened his eyes slightly. Immerse had only exchanged a glance with him when he felt an invisible sense of oppression. This kind of pressure didn't come from the other party's aura, nor did it come from energy. It was a natural pressure that came from the strong to the weak. Even if the other party did not have any malicious intent, this natural pressure still existed. This was enough to show that the bearded man's strength was far beyond Immerse's. Immerse was secretly surprised. He planned to secretly activate the blood dragon's eye to investigate this man. However, just as his eyes turned blood red, the man suddenly raised his head. The man suddenly lifted his eyelids. A cold light flashed in his eyes as he glared at Immerse. Immerse was shocked. This person could feel that he was probing his strength. Ever since Immerse possessed the blood dragon's eye, he had probed the strength of countless people. As long as he was careful and did not let the other party see him, then the other party would not know that he was probing their strength. Even if the other party was a powerful level 7 psychic master, he would not be able to detect it. And this person was actually able to easily sense that he was probing his strength. Then how strong was this person? It was obvious that he was much stronger than himself. Level 5 hunter? Level 6 hunter? Or even bolder, a level 10 desolate hunter. There were only a few people in the entire continent who had reached this level of strength. He didn't expect to meet one here. The man only spoke after the blood-red color in Immerse's eyes quickly receded. His voice was like a clap of thunder. I'm not in a good mood. You'd better not provoke me. This voice seemed to resound in Immerse's heart. Immerse was secretly surprised. The strength of this person had far exceeded the strength of the creatures in the 13th hunting ground. Why would he waste his time coming to hunting ground 13? After saying that, the man no longer paid any attention to Immerse. Immerse frowned slightly. This man also wanted to go to the 13th hunting ground. Should he withdraw? Otherwise, if there was a conflict of interest between him and this man, he could easily kill him. Immerse could feel that all his trump cards were useless in front of this man. Even if there was no conflict of interest, as long as this man was in a bad mood and wanted to kill him, he would not be able to escape. Thinking of this, Immerse planned to get up and leave. But at this moment, the man spoke again. Open the file transfer function of your multifunction watch. His voice was filled with an unquestionable command. Immerse had no choice but to do as he was told. He was really unlucky to have come to the 13th hunting ground, but he did not expect to meet such a strong existence. Soon, the man connected to Immerse's multifunction watch and sent a 3D image. From the image, it was a girl in her 20s. She was very beautiful. Although she was not as sexy as Emma, she was not as pure and lovely as Happy. But she looked even cuter than Emma and Happy. Immerse was puzzled. Giving his wife away as soon as he met her? How could this work? The man said. If you see her in the 13th hunting ground, contact me immediately. As he spoke, he also sent the number of his multifunction watch. In this way, Immerse was in a bit of a difficult situation. It seemed that this man was going to the 13th hunting ground to find this girl. Could he refuse at this moment? If he refused, would this man slap him to death on the spot? But at this moment, the man's gaze was fixed on him. It made him feel as if he was facing a mountain. He could only nod. Okay. After the man finished speaking, he no longer paid attention to him. He was still holding that extremely high-tech longsword and resting with his eyes closed. A moment later, the teleportation device was activated. Immerse and the man's figures turned into light spots and disappeared. When they reappeared, they were already at the top of a pyramid. This pyramid was the coordinates of the teleportation. At this moment, at the bottom of the pyramid, there were 2 local natives worshipping. Suddenly, they saw the 2 light spots that appeared gradually turned into human figures. These 2 people were immediately surprised. This is God's manifestation. God's manifestation. The 2 of them were shocked and pleasantly surprised. Beside Immerse, the bearded man didn't pay any attention to the 2 natives. His right hand pressed on the hilt of the sword. The long sword began to change shape with a crackling sound. In the end, it turned into a giant sword about 5 meters long and 1 foot wide. On one side of the blade of the giant sword, 2 rows of small holes for particle thrusters appeared. Behind the hilt of the giant sword, 2 particle thrusters as thick as thighs appeared. The next moment, light blue particle streams were ejected from the particle thrusters. The giant sword slowly rose with him. At the same time, two thick particle streams were ejected from the thick particle thrusters behind the hilt of the sword. The long sword instantly flew forward at high speed. Almost in the blink of an eye, it had already reached more than 10 kilometers away. 10 kilometers per second. This person's longsword was not only a weapon, but also an extremely fast aircraft. After that person left far away, Immerse secretly heaved a sigh of relief. When that person was beside him, the pressure was too strong. At this moment, the two below were worshipping Immerse with all their might. They were also saying some language that Immerse did not understand. The foreign language proficiency skill was only effective on the biological languages on Earth. It was useless for this alien language. However, there was an instant translation software in the multifunctional watch. He put on the micro wireless headphones. The translated words came into his ears. God's manifestation is manifest. God's manifestation is manifest. Chapter 283. The two of them actually thought of him as a god. Immerse shook his head slowly. The eye of the blood dragon appeared and observed the strength of the two. The person on the left frowny face species, human, level 3 hunter. The person on the right frowny face species, human, level 3 hunter. Pfft. Immerse felt like he was about to vomit blood. Could it be that everyone on this planet was a desolate hunter? As there were very few people who came to the 13th hunting ground, there were almost no guides to share on the internet. Immerse only knew that in the 13th hunting ground, the strongest creature was equivalent to a level 4 desolate hunter. However, he did not expect to see two level 3 hunters as soon as he arrived. This was King ridiculous. He used the dragon's will plunder to plunder the memories of the two. From the memories of the two, he found some information that he wanted to know. Only then did he heave a sigh of relief. It turned out that the strongest creatures in the 13th hunting ground were level 4 hunters. However, there were very few level 4 hunters. It was even a question whether there were any level 4 hunters. A level 3 desolate hunter was basically the strongest existence in a tribe. In the entire 13th hunting ground, there were less than 1,000 people who were above the level of hunters. However, other than these less than 1,000 level 3 hunters, there were countless zombies infected with the virus on this planet. These zombies were not as weak as the zombies on Earth. The strength of each of these zombies was equivalent to that of a dire beast. Hence, they were called dire corpses. As for the animals on this planet, they were not infected with the virus. The strongest ones were level 4 dire beasts. And the number of dire beasts was extremely large. As for how many there was no concept in the memories of the two people. Since it was so dangerous outside, Immerse naturally had to find a safe place to stay first. Immerse took a step from the top of the pyramid to the two people. Upon closer inspection, apart from being a little darker, these two people did not look any different from the Easterners on Earth. When the two people saw Immerse coming in front of them, they quickly prostrated themselves on the ground to worship him. Immerse said, "Get up. Get up, take me to your tribe." Of course, his words were also translated into the native language by the multifunctional watch. When the two heard this, they were overjoyed. He kowtowed repeatedly. Then, he carefully led Immerse away from the pyramid. Following the path in the forest, they headed towards the tribe. On the small path in the forest, there would occasionally be a few desolate corpses. Their levels were not high. It looked like it was only level 7 to 8. Immerse knew that although desolate corpses could move around during the day, they were still able to move around during the day. But their favorite time was at night. Therefore, there were very few desolate corpses that came out during the day. Furthermore, they could not find any food at night and could only come out during the day. With a thought from Immerse, the Azure Dragon avatar appeared. Overall, it looked like a 20-meter-long crocodile. However, the scales on his body were much harder than those of a crocodile. Its claws were sharper than those of a crocodile. Its tail had a sharp blade, and its back had a triangular fin that was as sharp as a blade. The two men had never seen such a creature. He also saw that it had appeared out of thin air with a wave of the god's right hand. They thought that it was the god's beast. The two of them hurriedly prostrated themselves and worshipped the azure dragon avatar. Through the memories of these two people, Immerse already knew that on this planet, there was only one place with the most desolate beasts. That was the Starsbar Forest. Translated, it was the Forest of Death. In that forest, there were many desolate beasts. There were also many mutated desolate beasts. Moreover, the Forest of Death was not too far from here. It was only about 300 kilometers away. Immerse used the bodies of those zombies to condense a virus avatar. He let the virus avatar bring the personal reservoir to the Forest of Death. Immerse's virus avatar could now reach a speed of 10 kilometers per second using the dragon's shadow step. In a short 30 seconds, he arrived at the Forest of Death. At the edge of the Forest of Death, there were desolate beasts below mutated desolate beasts. They were not very beneficial to the Azure Dragon avatar. Therefore, Immerse let the Azure Dragon avatar continue to climb inside. As for why he did not let the virus avatar continue to bring the personal reservoir inside, that was because the virus clone had already died upon reaching this place. It was easily killed by a level 9 desolate beast. And that level 9 desolate beast was swallowed by the Azure Dragon avatar. After that, the Azure Dragon avatar used thousands of tentacles to swallow more than 500 desolate beasts nearby and continued to climb deeper into the forest. The desolate beasts in the periphery were not very beneficial to it. Therefore, it crawled into the depths of the forest at its fastest speed. When it crawled, its posture was very strange. Its upper body was 30 degrees away from the ground, and its two front legs did not touch the ground. Its two hind legs were like the pedals of a bicycle, constantly and quickly rotating to support the ground. This speed was much faster than crawling on 4 legs. The two front legs could also separate the trees and other obstacles in front of it. If it encountered a boulder or other obstacles, it could also jump up at its fastest speed. With this posture, its speed could reach more than 50 meters per second. This was much faster than ordinary reptiles. Of course, this was only a posture used when running for long distances. If it was a short distance sprint, it would use a leaping posture to advance. Just like a cheetah. It was just that its leaping distance was very long. Every step was 70 to 80 meters. It shuttled through this dark and gloomy forest. At the same time, Immerse had been taken to the Aboriginal tribe. This tribe of Aboriginals was located in a forest. In the center of this forest, there was a large mountain peak. Every mountain peak rose from the ground and pierced into the clouds. Between these mountain peaks, there were suspension bridges connecting them. This Aboriginal tribe was on these mountain peaks. This was also to avoid the attacks of those desolate beasts. They had no choice but to do so. When they came to the bottom of the mountain peak, there was a guard at the top who lowered a rope. The people in the tribe basically had the strength of a scavenger. So as long as they were given a rope, they could quickly climb up along the rope. Of course, with Immerse's strength, he did not need this at all. After the two Aborigines climbed up, he had already arrived in front of the two with the dragon's shadow step. When the other Aborigines around saw this scene, they were all shocked. The two indigenous people who had brought Immerse here immediately turned to the others and whispered something. Those people immediately bowed their heads to the ground and kowtowed. As they bowed, they said, "Greetings, God. Greetings, God. Lord God, I want to have a son. Lord God, I want to have a wife. Lord God, I want to be circumcised." Immerse, damn, you want me to be circumcised? This is too much. Chapter 284. The tribe that Immerse came to was called the Wakata tribe. When translated, it meant descendants of God, tribe. The people in the tribe all felt that they were the descendants of God. Therefore, when they saw Immerse, they were all very excited. To them, it was as if they had seen their ancestors. Immerse opened his mouth for food and stretched out his hand for clothes. That night, Immerse was arranged to stay in the best stone house on the tallest mountain in the tribe. Immerse lay on the stone bed in the stone house. He used his dragon's will to explore the entire tribe while using the blood dragon's eye to observe the entire tribe. In the entire tribe, in addition to the 2 level, 3 desolate hunters he had seen before, there were more than 10 level, 2 desolate hunters and more than 100 level, 1 desolate hunters. The rest of the people were basically level 8 and above. Even the 10-year-old children were level 5 desolate hunters. The strength of the entire tribe, if placed in the flaming origin continent, would definitely be a dominating existence. Everything in the tribe was good. It was safe and comfortable to stay here. Immerse had secretly decided that before the sea dragon clone advanced to a level 5 mutated desolate beast, he did not plan to leave. Therefore, in the next few days, Immerse walked here and there in the tribe. As long as he found a valuable place, he would continue to sign in. He also obtained a lot of good things. Other than signing in, Immerse controlled the sea dragon clone to devour the mutated desolate beasts in the forest of death most of the time. He entered the depths of the forest of death. With a sweep of his dragon's will, he explored a radius of more than 100 kilometers clearly. Within this radius of more than 100 kilometers, there were many powerful mutated desolate beasts. Most of them were level 1 or level 2 mutated desolate beasts. Occasionally, there would be level 3 mutated desolate beasts. These mutated desolate beasts all had their own territories. The entire 5-kilometer radius of the forest where Immerse was currently in was the territory of a level 3 desolate beast. Immerse did not care about this. He controlled the sea dragon clone and directly used thousands of tentacles to devour the level 1 desolate beasts nearby. The level 3 desolate beast, in its normal form, was only about 10 meters long. It looked like a giant elephant. However, there were dozens of spikes on its long nose. The 2 tusks were also longer and thicker. It realized that there were intruders in its territory. Suddenly, a gurgling sound came from his throat. One had to know that to a mutated desolate beast, its territory was its dignity. This outsider had casually entered its territory and slaughtered its prey in its territory. This was undoubtedly a challenge to its prestige. With a single step, it covered more than 50 meters in an instant. It didn't lurk quietly like it usually did. When dealing with foreign invaders, they had to give them the most fatal blow with lightning speed. Therefore, it was almost rampaging. The trees and even the rocks in its way were easily crushed by it. His entire body, like a high-speed cannonball, crashed into the sea dragon clone. Seeing this, Immerse controlled the sea dragon clone. In an instant, he made a 90-degree turn. His body went from perpendicular to the mutated desolate beast to parallel to it. At the same time, the sea dragon clone's 7 to 8 meter long tail, with 3 sharp blades on 3 sides, fiercely whipped the level 3 wild beast. Bang, crack, it was accompanied by a heavy muffled sound. The mutated desolate beast's body immediately flew far away. Crack, 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 it broke several giant trees. The debris of the broken branches kept flying. A few of its ribs had already been broken. On the side of its body, there was a 3-meter-long bloody mark that had been cut by a sharp blade. The bloody mark was so deep that bone could be seen. However, the level 3 mutated desolate beast was not afraid at all. Instead, it was even angrier. Gurgling, snore, it made a strange roaring sound from its throat. Its entire body began to grow rapidly. However, at this moment, Immerse's sea dragon clone suddenly jumped and was once again more than 50 meters away from its side. Then it jumped again. 50 meters in an instant. It directly pounced to the side of the level 3 mutated desolate beast. It opened its mouth and bit down hard. One had to know that the sea dragon clone's mouth evolved from the long palate of a crocodile. Its bite force was quite astonishing. With this bite, it directly bit the waist of the level 3 mutated desolate beast. Crack, the bones of the level 3 mutated desolate beast's waist were directly bitten off. The level 3 mutated desolate beast that was transforming into its combat form suddenly lost its momentum. Its transforming body also quickly returned to its original form. Although desolate beasts and mutated desolate beasts could reach their peak strength after transforming into their combat form, they were 10 times or even dozens of times stronger than their normal state. But there was a weakness, and that was that the transformation process could not be disturbed. Of course, during the transformation process, Level 3 mutated desolate beasts also had a thin layer of energy protection on the surface of their bodies to ensure that their transformation was smooth. Don't underestimate this thin layer of energy protection. Its defensive power could safely withstand the energy attacks of opponents of the same level. However, this time, this Level 3 mutated desolate beast's layer of energy defense was easily bitten apart. Ordinary mutated desolate beasts almost didn't use energy in battle. After all, they were beasts, and their intelligence was limited. In their opinion, their claws and teeth were their strongest weapons, and they were easy to use. They were much easier to use than energy. And Immerse, as a human, also used human thinking when controlling the sea dragon avatar to fight. In his opinion, if he didn't use such powerful energy, wouldn't he be a fool? So every attack of Immerse's was actually accompanied by energy. That level 3 mutated desolate beast naturally couldn't withstand it. Next, Immerse controlled the sea dragon avatar to directly open its huge mouth and swallow that level 3 mutated desolate beast bite by bite. That level 3 mutated desolate beast saw that the back half of its body was about to be eaten up. This made it feel a sense of powerlessness and fear in its heart. In this extreme powerlessness and fear, it roared to the sky. Aogegegege, Lulu 2. Following its roar, Immerse's dragon consciousness detected that all level 2 and level 3 desolate beasts within a radius of 100 kilometers were stunned. Then they put down what they were doing and rushed over at an extremely fast speed. Seeing this, Immerse sneered. Trying to scare people, huh? I'm not afraid that you won't come, but I'm afraid that you'll send people. Thinking of this, Immerse quickly swallowed the level 3 mutated desolate beast in a few big mouthfuls. He felt that the energy in his body had obviously increased by a lot. His dragon consciousness probed the level 3 mutated desolate beasts that were constantly rushing over. The corners of Immerse's mouth curled up into a faint smile. I'm not afraid that you'll come, but I'm afraid that you won't dare to come, and I'm even more afraid that you won't come enough. Chapter 285. Immerse detected that under the summons of this level 3 mutated desolate beast before it died, there were as many as 30 level 3 mutated desolate beasts within a radius of 100 kilometers, all rushing towards this side. He was instantly delighted. After swallowing this level 3 mutated desolate beast, he laid down on a cold boulder to rest comfortably. The temperature in the forest of death was not low. With such a cold boulder to lie down on to cool down, it was really a very pleasant thing. The level 3 mutated desolate beasts were not considered slow. The slowest one could leap 30 to 40 meters per second. Not long after, those level 3 mutated desolate beasts had already arrived in front of him. They formed an encirclement around Immerse. These level 3 mutated desolate beasts seemed to be the same species as the level 3 mutated desolate beast from before. They looked similar to the level 3 mutated desolate beast from before. They should be its 7 aunts, 8 aunts, brothers, sisters, sisters-in-law, cousins, and so on. They opened their huge mouths one by one, revealing sharp fangs. At the same time, their front 2 sharp claws were constantly digging into the ground. They appeared to be angry and anxious. At some point, they seemed to have received some kind of order. At the same time, they pounced towards Immerse's sea dragon clone. Immerse's dragon will moved. The current sea dragon clone was already able to withstand level 4 dragon will. The level 4 dragon will suddenly spread out, directly attacking the heads of these level 3 mutated desolate beasts. However, these level 3 mutated desolate beasts were equivalent to level 3 desolate hunters. Immerse's level 4 dragon will naturally could not do anything to them. At most, they would be slightly startled and stunned for a moment. However, this was exactly what Immerse wanted. Just as they were in a daze. On the surface of the sea dragon clone's body, a total of 50 tentacles suddenly spread out. They were sucking towards the surface of these level 3 mutated desolate beasts. When these mutated desolate beasts came back to their senses, their bodies had already been sucked in by a huge suction cup. The energy in the energy bubbles in their bodies was involuntarily sucked into the suction cup. At the same time, their blood was also being sucked in. Gurgle, gurgle, gurgle. It could be seen that on the 50 tentacles, there was clearly something constantly moving into the sea dragon clone's body. These grade 3 mutated desolate beasts could feel their energy and blood draining away. It immediately tried to control Six Claws in fear, shaking its head in an attempt to free itself from the suction cup. But it was clear that their efforts ended in failure. In just 5 minutes, the bodies of these level 3 mutated desolate beasts had turned into dried corpses of skin and bones. There was not a single drop of blood inside, nor a single trace of energy. At the same time, Immerse could feel the energy in his body increasing rapidly. He could clearly feel that after another 5 or 6 waves of this, he would be able to advance to level 4. After devouring these level 3 mutated desolate beasts, he continued to search for level 3 mutated desolate beasts within a radius of a few hundred kilometers. Of course, in the process of searching, if he encountered a level 2 mutated desolate beast, he would also devour it. Although the effects of a level 2 mutated desolate beast were not as obvious as a level 3 mutated desolate beast, he still understood the principle of many a little makes an ocean. Finally, at noon the next day, after devouring another wave of more than 30 level 3 mutant wild beasts, waves of muscle-tearing pain came from the sea dragon avatar's body. Immerse quickly shifted his consciousness back into his body. You can bear the pain alone and share the joy together. Half an hour later, the sea dragon avatar's advancement was estimated to have been completed. Immerse's consciousness once again returned to the sea dragon avatar's body. At this time, looking at the sea dragon avatar again, it was actually a little smaller than the previous 20 meters. It was only 15 meters long. Immerse couldn't help but be stunned. He quickly looked at the sea dragon avatar's level. Species, sea dragon, level 4 mutated desolate beast, ability, evolution by devouring. Immerse frowned slightly when he saw this. Shouldn't a promotion be bigger? Why did this guy's size not increase but decrease after the promotion? What the F***ck? In fact, Immerse didn't know that for normal desolate beasts, the stronger they were, the bigger they would be. Even in a normal state, their size would increase. But on this zombie planet, due to the environment, these mutated desolate beasts had learned to pretend to be weak. Often, the stronger they were, the smaller they were. Because they were smaller, their speed would increase a lot. And it consumed less energy. At this time, after the sea dragon avatar devoured the mutated desolate beasts here, it also had the genes of those mutated desolate beasts in its body. These genes had transformed the sea dragon avatar's body. As a result, it also had the attribute that the stronger it was, the smaller it would be. Fortunately, Immerse saw that the sea dragon avatar's level had increased by 1 level, which made him confirm that the sea dragon avatar was indeed getting stronger and stronger. Only then did he feel slightly relieved. According to his estimation, as long as he stayed in this forest of death for another 25 or 26 days, the strength of the sea dragon avatar should be improved again. Night. In the forest of death, it was even darker than during the day. It was so dark that one couldn't even see their own claws. Immerse controlled the 15-meter-long sea dragon avatar and leaped forward in the night. At the same time, he used his dragon consciousness to explore the surroundings. After a few days of hunting, there were no level 3 mutated desolate beasts nearby. Mo sure wasn't surprised by this. Originally, the peak combat power on this planet was a level 4 mutated desolate beast. Although a level 3 mutated desolate beast hadn't reached the peak, it was still considered a top combat power. Naturally, there couldn't be too many of them. After running for more than 20 minutes, Mo sure finally detected that there were 5 level 3 mutated desolate beasts more than 100 kilometers ahead. Mutated desolate beasts generally moved alone. But at this time, these 5 mutated desolate beasts were moving in a group, which made Mo sure feel a little strange. Of course, he didn't know much about the species on this planet. Among so many animals, it wasn't strange that there were social animals. In short, there were 5 level 3 mutated desolate beasts for him to devour, so he naturally couldn't let them go. After a few more minutes, Mo sure had arrived at a place not far from where the mutated desolate beasts were. As usual, he used his dragon consciousness to carefully explore the surroundings 3 times. When there was no danger, he quietly crept toward the mutated desolate beasts. A moment later, he arrived behind the 5 level 3 mutated desolate beasts. This was by a river overgrown with trees. The river wasn't rushing. There were more than a dozen trees of various sizes growing in the river. The 5 level 3 mutated desolate beasts were drinking water by the river bank. Mo sure quietly crept behind one of the level 3 mutated desolate beasts. Just as he was about to extend his tentacles. But at this moment, one of the level 3 mutated desolate beasts seemed to have discovered him. It quickly roared, "Caw caw caw," to warn the other level 3 mutated desolate beasts. Then, with a splash, it jumped into the river and fled. You're tuning in to the A Romantic Tales YouTube channel. Don't forget to subscribe and join us on this journey to catch the most captivating stories.